I am who I am because I value my past. The memories of yesterday can never be changed, but they give me a reason to live again. There is a reason I am here today, but there is no reason you lost your lives. You were called abusive names, deprived of rights to be humans, slayed because of who you were born. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I was young, I still needed you, but you were taken away from me too soon. If I had one wish, it would be seeing you again. Today we're strong men and women, even though you are not here to see. We're carrying on to make you feel proud out there, watching down on us. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I am a witness that if you and I come together as one, we can make sure genocide never happens again. History should be told and passed on to further generations. Let's all stand up and all sing out, never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. We are here as one nation. We say never again. We unite as human race. We say never again. again, never again. To genocide. Never again, never again, never again. We brought you flowers. 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 We brought you
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this very important broadcast, Ambazonia this week with Tarh Paddy King. We deeply apologize for starting way out of our schedule, but it was necessary since we had to do some things to make sure that we will be getting for you the excerpt of the president's speech to the Amba peace plan stakeholders on Friday. It was instrumental because the president highlighted issues that were also important for the public. That aside, we will be looking into a video that has resurfaced on social media with Metron TV debunking what happens to be a lie today from Archbishop Nkea, the Archbishop Nkea that has been plagued with a lot of controversies. And our question this evening would be, what could possibly be the reasons why Bishop Nkea would lie over such an important event? What does he really hope to achieve? We begin the conversation on this issue right after the break.
The man known to history as Emperor Haile Selassie I was born on the 23rd of July 1892 in the town of Ejarsogoro, not far from the city of Harar in Ethiopia. He was given the name Lij Tafari Makonnen in his youth. Lij simply means child of, while Tafari means one who is respected or feared. Makonnen was his father's name, and so, as he was growing up, he was known as the child of Makonnen, who is greatly respected. His father, Ras Makonnen, was the governor of the ancient walled city of Harar in eastern Ethiopia, and a key advisor to his near kinsman, Emperor Menelik II, who was emperor at the time. Thus, Lij Tafari Makonnen was born into a significant noble family which was related to the current imperial dynasty. Through his paternal grandmother, Tafari was descended.
Gloria, Gloria.
wishing all the people of southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, a Christmas filled with hope, peace, and the warmth of unity in the face of conflict. May the spirit of Christmas bring comfort to the prisoners of conscience, strength to the refugees, and courage to the Ambazonian restoration forces. Let the light of the season inspire us to stand together in solidarity and work towards a future of peace and freedom. From ABC Amba TV, on behalf of the government of Ambazonia, may the message of love and resilience shine brightly in the hearts of all. Christmas of hope, unity in adversity.
Good evening, Barrister Fru. Good evening, Barrister team. I'm sorry for keeping you guys waiting for so long. Thank you for joining. It's Christmas season, and we are here to talk on very pertinent issues. How are you feeling before we get into the newsroom in that regard? Yeah, begin with any of you barristers, full barrister team. Good evening.
Good evening, Paddy. Thank you for another Saturday. Thank you for another Saturday, another day, Ambazonia this week. We will be examining the topical issues of the day or of the week, and it's a fast-moving week, and we hope we'll be up to the task.
Amazing, Barrister Mbeseha.
Well, thank you once more for having us on this ritual of the weekends. But this is particularly because we are going to the end of 2024. We hope that our followers, our listeners, who have learned something by the time we come to the close of this session. We hope that whatever thing they learned would have changed, will change their minds as we approach 2025 for good. Over to you.
That's amazing. So without any waste of our time, I want us to get into this first story we have here for the day. It's about Bishop Nkea. The video has resurfaced and it's pulling a lot of attention. And no matter what who is saying, Ambazonians always look forward to having us join them and give our perspective and examine the objective of such images. We have Onye Okpala in the newsroom here, which I think Onye is here with us. Good evening, Onye. Can you hear me?
Good evening, Mr. Cha. And of course, good evening, Barrister team. Base here. Good evening, Barrister in the house. All right, so we go straight to Bishop Andrew Nkea. Well, he has been making headlines, and many are wondering, seriously wondering, what kind of religion he's practicing and why he's been defending the La Republic de Cameroon, instead of focusing solely on his religious duties. You know, some point to his statements during the Bako massacre as evidence of his alleged bias. Well, critics argue that Bishop Nkea's actions suggest he's working closely with the Biya's administration, which has raised eyebrows. His involvement in electioneering, urging people to participate in elections without having a total control of it, or elections that he in particular has no control over the process, has sparked controversy over time. Let's get that excerpt first.
Let's give advice for this life we don't hurt so for the country. For number 2 place, we talk say next year, 2025, na year where they go vote big man, for put big man again for chair, or for vote new big man. That one it be so say, we call all Cameroonian people, make them go register them name, put them name for book, for vote. Not only she done for house, begin cry, say, you know the waka. Go put your name for vote and you vote. And when they talk the same time, say, people where they control this vote, make them ensure, they make sure, say, vote it will be free and it will be fair. That means they will count any man he vote as he vote them, and they will read the results how a day. That one I think we don't talk for inside this meeting. And for finish, and with the talk say some Cameroonian not the way he pass other one. All Cameroonian are Cameroonian, whether they for north, for south, for east, or for west.
Oh well, while Bishop Nkea's motivations and actions are subject to interpretation, which we will analyze closely, what is clear is that he's a prominent figure in the Cameroon's religious and political landscape, maybe more political than religious. Now let's get into the full detail. A recent video has surfaced, sparking heated debate about Bishop Andrew Nkea's statement at the National Dialogue. Let's get that as well.
When we went in for a grand dialogue, I must be clear to you, the bishops of this province had already put out a memorandum to the Prime Minister in preparation for the dialogue to stand for federation. We said federation. And this is how we went into the dialogue. Now, this is what I want to explain to your televiewers. Right. When we went into that dialogue and we started talking, this was still the opening of the dialogue. It was Chief, the late Fru Nkea, who got up and he made an analysis. All the videos are still there. Fru Nkea started by saying that the position of the Southwest was that they don't want to have anything to do with the Northwest. And that if they are talking about federation, the Southwest position was that they didn't want any federation as long as that will have them to do with the Northwest. We're all in this hall. And Nkea went back to history to analyze the divisions and the disagreements between Southwest and Northwest, and that federation on condition that Southwest and Northwest are not together.
The question is, was Bishop Nkea the only one in this national dialogue? The answer is no. And so we have another video example of another participant reacting to Bishop Nkea's words. At this point, he was questioning his intentions and accusing him of dishonesty. Let's get that as well.
He's talking about, oh, they talk about special status. The truth is, he said the evidence are there and the videos are there. How did the special status come about? It's simple. When Agwobala stood and said, oh, they should give federalism, they neglected it. And I stood up and I told them off. I pick up my bag. I said, I'm leaving. This is rubbish. It's there on video. And there was entropy, argument, shouting. The chairman Mbeseha said they should call the police or blah, blah, blah. That's the argument. It was not at the opening ceremony. It was in the decentralization committee. And I'm the one. Because after I took my bag, I told them off. I said, I'm leaving. Then member of parliament in Tico, he came and pulled me and brought me back there. I even lost my phone in that occasion. So that's how the talker special status came in. So we shouldn't stand and be trying to changing historical facts. And there were two people who came and showed me special status. I said, Alex, please, can you stand and talk about it? One was my classmate in Ngwakele, Bame. He is a member of parliament in CPDM. He came and showed me. I read it. Then there's the then member of parliament CPDM in Tico. Showed me. I read it. He said, can you talk about it? The list. We had the list. Madame Mundi was number 1. I was number 2. So these two members of parliament said, Alex, can you talk about special status? They are there, you can ask them. So after Madame Mundi, I was expecting that they would call me to speak, and they skipped. They instead called Akamefumu, the then Minister of Defense, and he talked about special status. That is how it came about. And the only time there was entropy, there was confusion, there was argument, there was fighting in that committee was because of me. That's a fact. So when Archbishop Nkea come and say Southwest position, I'll tell you, if you don't know something, ask. When I went there, the BaKwata chief, they recognized me, they came, I have picture with them. They show me a draft federal constitution drafted by the BaKwata chiefs. Drafted by the BaKwata chief. So we shouldn't say Southwest position was this. There was no Southwest position. Archbishop Nkea is either mistaken or is misleading the public. BaKwata chief, they had their federal constitution drafted. Is BaKwata, are they not from Southwest region? Dr. Muzu talk about federalism. Is Dr. Muzu not from Southwest region? So when we cherry pick, we say things that will suit us. It's very dangerous. It's very cancerous. And to be honest, I was in the decentralization committee. So Archbishop Nkea, I don't know if it's a genuine mistake. You should correct it. You should correct that genuine mistake. Southwest region, they were not standing for 10-state federalism. For Mukete, a CPD, a militant, was talking about 10-state federalism. Maybe it was CPDM position, I don't know. It was not Southwest region. We are all entitled to our opinion. For Mukete was entitled to state his opinion about 10-state federation. Maitre Alex Ndivelisinge, I'm entitled to state equal status. Two countries came together. Bishop Nkea, you are entitled to state your opinion. So don't take one person's opinion and generalize it. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this video should reach.
Oh well, the video is actually getting to where it's supposed to get to. And so critics are slamming Bishop Nkea for mixing up words. And at this point, lying during the dialogue. Now, they argue that he seemed to have forgotten he wasn't the only one present, just like I asked the question, which has sparked concerns about his strategies and maybe his motivations. At the heart of the controversy is a perceived stand on the, in quotes, Southern Cameroon's issue. Many believe he has chosen to disregard the growing strength of the people of Ambazonia, feeling further tensions. But then, let's take a pause and analyze these deeply. When talking on federation, Michel Alex Lisenge, who we just heard his voice, who is the leader of the British Cameroon National Party, has publicly disputed statements made by Reverend Andrew Nkea during the National Grand Dialogue. Lisenge claims that Nkea's representation of Ambazonia, which they call the, Southwest region, was of course misleading, particularly in his characterization of Ambazonia in general. According to Lisenge, Chief Mukete, who also spoke at the opening ceremony, was a CPDM loyalist and senator as well, and therefore cannot be considered a representative of the entire Ambazonian people. Lisenge emphasized that the people of Ambazonia, which we already know, comprises of diverse culture and ethnic groups, and that a CPDM militant cannot defend the Southern Cameroon's position. Lisenge also criticized Nkea for allegedly painting Ambazonia in a negative light, contrary to Dr. Endele's views. Of course, he advised Nkea to focus on his religious profession, emphasizing that federalism requires a lot of consideration of a country's heterogeneity when drafting a federal constitution, not just people gathering together. Furthermore, Lysenga accused the La Republic du Cameroon of practicing unbalanced journalism and clarified that Archbishop Nkea was not the primary representative at the national dialogue. Well, he also disputed Nkea's claim about the Southern Cameroon's position on special status, stating that there was no consensus on the matter. Well, in conclusion this evening, I would say that Lysenga's statement suggests that Reverend Andrew Nkea made false and misleading claims during the National Grand Dialogue, and that his representation of the Southern Cameroon's stand was so inaccurate. So the question is, why the lie? Why should Bishop Nkea lie? So this incident has raised questions about the role of religious leaders in promoting dialogues and, understanding. One thing is clear. Bishop Nkea's remarks have ignited a firestorm of controversy that will be closely watched and monitored in the days to come. Just undaunted to do the needful. Mr. Tarh.
That was amazing, Onye. The question, like you've asked, why would Bishop Nkea lie? We're not going to analyze the lie because it is now clear that Bishop Nkea lied. My concern, if Barrister Fru and Barrister Team want to talk elaborately, they're free to. My question is, I want to find out, why would a supposed clergy choose to be so diabolic in his speech intentionally? Barrister Fru, I begin with you.
Yes, Paddy. Why would he lie? And I will tell you. Bishop Nkea and Funky Samuel, Foba, they are on the payroll of La République du Cameroon. Each bishop gets £1 million a month. The archbishop gets £2 million a month. And the cardinal, the only cardinal who lived, would have been having £3 million a month from the state. It's the only country in the world that pays bishops from their from public money. Number two, Nkea contracted with La République du Cameroon to convince our fighters to go to DDR. I cannot tell you how much that was the worth of that contract, but I know that he was, each where he went, he tried to get the boys to lay down their arms and go to DDR. Number three, when he was being consecrated as the Archbishop of Metropolitan Cathedral in Bamenda, Paul Biya sent him a brand new Pajero. You remember that when Archbishop Tumi was being made a cardinal, Biya sent him a Mercedes car, which he refused. We all know that. This is a man, Nkea, living and pretending to be the Archbishop of Bamenda, which is the epicenter of the war, the war against La République du Cameroon on the southern Cameroons. His Christians are being killed every day. These Christians are being kidnapped every day. This is the same man who will stand publicly in Bamenda, in that cathedral, and call people to go and register to vote, when he knows that the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia was restored in 2017, and the population knows that they do not have to vote. They should not vote for La République du Cameroon. But Nkea has become the campaign chairman of Mr. Biya and his CPDM cohort in the Cathedral of Bamenda, in the metropolitan jurisdiction of the Catholic Church in Bamenda. So anything that concerns La Republic of Cameroon, he would take the other side and try to speak, tell lies. Look, he thought, how could he be lying so publicly when he was not the only one in that, or what the so-called grand national monologue? Because in the lawyer, the British lawyer was there. He had just told us that there was no Southwest position. I am not by any means saying that Mukete did not say what he said. He said it as a CPDM militant, a senator and a politician under the CPDM, a member of the CPDM, member of the Central Committee. He was given the position of his party. But you cannot take that and say that the whole Southwest, the Southwest is made of how many divisions? So many. So Mukete became the spokesman for the Southwest, so that Nkea takes that as a gospel, and now he's propagating it all over the place. This I don't know whether this man is a man of God. He must be the son of the Satan, Lucifer. Because a man of God should stay clear of politics and shepherd the sheep during a difficult period like the one the Ambazonian people are going through. The war, the killings, the extrajudicial killings, the number of killings that have taken place in Bamenda, the number of killings that have taken place in his own division, Libialem. Why would he take such a public, disgraceful position? And campaigning for La Republic of Cameroon, but people should go and register to vote. Who the hell is he? Is he a politician or God, a man of God? Somebody should tell him that he's a man of God and he's not a politician. And what kind of man of God is he? He has lost everything, every respect that they gave him as a man of God in Mante. When he was a bishop in Mante, he was a man of God. He was respected by everybody, and he spoke the truth in Mante. When he came to Bamenda, he got corrupted. And now he is part of the regime. Instead of shepherding his sheep, which are Christians of the metropolitan jurisdiction of Bamenda, he takes the position of the CPDM. He takes the position of politicians talking about elections. Go and register to vote. We will put big man. This. Who the hell is this? Is this the man of God we knew as a bishop in Mante? Is this the same one? Andrew Nkea?
Okay, that reaction there was quite intense and emotional. Vice Mbeseha, please.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. And this is my take about it. I don't want to deal with this idea of payment, bishops being on the payroll of the government. They could. But Andrew is not the only bishop. They're on the payroll of the government. If bishops were being paid, and they were taking the position of government because they are paid, we all know that Cardinal Tumi was a bishop in Yagua, in Garua, and then died in Douala. We know how outspoken he was until his death. He never took the side of government in that way. In spite of the fact that he was being paid, I don't know. He didn't do that. We have seen the position of Archbishop Cleda of Douala, who, if they are being paid, is one of them. The position he takes, especially as far as this Anglophone crisis is concerned, is not the same like Andrew. He's against the government. He talks openly about it. So I don't believe that is because of payment of bishops or not being paid or being on the payroll. There's something else that is with Andrew, who happens to be my own person. I think his position is a position of, he has been given a position as the Archbishop of Bamenda, which is the ecclesiastical province of 5 different dioceses. 1, in Mamfe, one in Bamenda, one in Nsoh, one in Kumba, one in Biya. He's a very young man by the relative terms. So he gets that position because he's an archbishop. But he doesn't have the wisdom of having that position. Worst of all, he doesn't even have the political wisdom, talk less of the historical context from which he operates. He does not know. He absolutely does not know. If you knew it, for example, I'm just quoting him. He tells us that the bishops of his diocesan area, that is the 5 bishops, before the Grand National Dialogue, had sent a position paper. They wanted a federation of 2 states. We don't like it, but that's what they wanted. He went there as a representative of the archdiocese to put their political position, not their religious position, to put out their political position. We want a 2-state federation. He got there. An old grandfather to him, Mokete, more than 100 years old, made a statement and changed the whole mind of Andrew. Where did he consult with the other 4 bishops who had sent him as their delegate? He didn't consult them. That's why I say he lacks the wisdom of leadership. He forgot, he didn't know that what Mokete was saying was in an opening statement. Opening statement, people make what they want to say. They are not the decisions. And so the bishop, Andrew, just lacked the wisdom or the understanding of the political facts. If he understood the political facts, which he did not, if he had the wisdom, which he doesn't, he would have realized that he succeeded Archbishop Isuafantem. You see Bamenda there. Isuafantem is from the southwest. He was Archbishop of Bamenda. He retired before Andrew got there. And what was his position until he retired? I mean, even till today, I talked to him not long ago. His position, he told the government, this thing called country is not one and indivisible. He told them publicly, if there's any Cameroon, it is thanks to the wisdom of the Northwest, Southwest, you call it, the Anglophones. If he was being paid, him his ancestry is true, why was he saying this? Just to show that this young man doesn't have the wisdom politically to do anything. He doesn't know it politically. And again, I've said this before. He's from the Southwest. He came to Bamenda from Mamfe, still what they call Southwest today. But among his bishops, they are not homogeneous, but among the 5 bishops that he has there in this ecclesiastical province, there's Bishop Nkea, who is in Nsoh, who had never been to Nsoh until he became the bishop. He has spent all his spiritual life as a priest in the Southwest. The Southwest then didn't have in Mamfe, they didn't even have Kumba as dioceses. He was the education secretary of the Catholic Church, the Catholic Diocese of Biya, which covered Mamfe, Kumba, and Biya. He went to every single village there as an education secretary. So he knows the people of the Southwest. He knows what they stand for. From the village level, because I went to primary school, I had the cases with him. So this guy has more wisdom, more understanding of the history than Andrew does. A case in point, see what happened in Garabo. One of the most important reports we had about Garabo was written from the bishop's house in Nsoh, the Bishop George Nkea. And so I think it is total lack of wisdom. He doesn't even have the political experience that he has. And then he meets this Opa without analyzing currently, in fact, what the Mbeseha is correct, without even knowing what it is. He jumps into politics without his left and right, without understanding what he's talking about. The Grand National Dialogue, where he attended, and other political organizations that are going on now, these things are very, very different from the meetings the bishop and the archbishop attends in the Vatican. They are not religious occasions. They are political occasions. And if you don't understand the politics, if you don't have the muscles, you won't be able to understand it. But he has been dealing all along with superficial things. Just because he occupies the position of an archbishop, he thinks that he has some political opinion. If he had if you were ever to be like Cardinal Tumi, let him conduct a private survey in his Archdiocese of Bamenda and see how many of his own Christians who disagree with what he says politically. Cardinal Tumi was from Bansa, and his first test of his position was that most of Anglophones, 67 or so, want full separation. These Anglophones included people in the Northwest and Southwest, as he calls it. Again, Cardinal Tumi, a man from Bansa, says most Anglophones in the next survey, they tried to twist it. It didn't work. That is the position of the people of the Northwest and Southwest that constitute the Archdiocese of Bamenda, which includes the Diocese of Bansa, Kumbo, the Diocese of Bamenda, the Diocese of Mamfe, the Diocese of Kumba, and the Diocese of Biya. Unfortunately, I can say this, Andrew has gotten to the level of Archbishop, yes, congratulations for that. But he never had the opportunity that the other priests who have become archbishops had. Josh Nkea, though he was a priest, he went to everywhere in the Southwest. Issue of Fontaine, who became the Archbishop of Bamenda, was the parish priest. He traveled all those places. There was only one diocese there. There was nothing like even one in Bamenda. So he did know the people. Andrew was ordained priest in the 1990s in my own house. He had never been a parish priest. He stayed in the office, the bishop secretary. So he doesn't probably know even the thinking of the people in the village.
Yeah.
From staying in the office as bishop secretary, he was nominated to become bishop of Mamfe. He has become the archbishop of Bamenda. He doesn't know, I can say this passionately. He doesn't know how the ordinary guy, the ordinary Christian in Dop, the ordinary Christian in Idabito, the ordinary Catholic Christian in Akwaya, he doesn't know how they feel, at least politically. And so again, it's a challenge to him. I don't think he's doing this out of wickedness. He's just doing this out of total ignorance. Because again, it's not push you go and go. Let me learn. It says push you go and go. For him, people of the Northwest or his ecclesiastical probably going to vote is a solution. The Anglophone problem, they call it, is not the problem of elections. Yeah. It's not the problem who occupies it to the palace. So you're going to vote 99%, it's not going to solve the problem. Our problem is beyond the president who occupies it to the. And until they can, he and something like him, can orientate their mind to understand the problem, to me, and we all agree here, we don't care who occupies it to the palace. It means nothing to us.
Yeah.
What is important to us is our problem be addressed. We didn't put a hijo there. Yeah. We didn't put a hijo there. But he did us harm. His successor has done us more harm. Even we disagree with Mr. Nifrundi, who wanted to go to Etudi with the same doctrine he said.
Yeah.
So it is not our problem, Anglophones, Ambazonians, it's not elections into Etudi. It's not elections into the National Assembly. It's not elections into the Senate. It is more than that. It is back to what retired Archbishop Fontem Eswa said. There will be no Cameroon today without the free will of Ambazonians. It is divisible.
That's amazing. That's quite the both of you have elaborately explained and agreed on two very pertinent.
We have not agreed on anything. We have not agreed on anything. I like to
I hope it's not a debate between two of us.
Let me speak.
I'll give you the chance to speak. Let me coordinate it. On one side, we agree that Nkea was partly ignorant. On the other side, there are those who share the sentiment, like by Fru, that he was not just being ignorant, he was being intentionally corruptive. You could trace that from his electioneering into now lying about He's trying to paint a picture, and this is what I want us to talk about, because this has been the instrument of La République du Cameroon. He's trying to paint the picture that we, the people of the Southern Cameroons, are not united. You know, the rise of Sisiko to power and Sako to power has made them generally uncomfortable because it's been strategic. They don't believe that the people of Southern Cameroons can formidably stand together under such forms of leaderships, transformative leaderships. They have always tried to divide to conquer us, and they keep telling us. So in my opinion, I think this is just Nkea playing the bidding of Yaoundé in their effort to divide us by telling us we are divided. It's conclusively and very briefly, Barrister Fru, I know you want to react to that. This, for those who feel that this is an instrument of divide and conquer, what would you have to say precisely in that regard, Barrister Fru?
Yeah, let me disagree with my senior colleague. Nkea is not speaking out of ignorance. Nkea is occupying the post of Archbishop of the Metropolitan Jurisdiction of Bamenda, which includes all the bishops of Ambazonia. He took over from a venerable, very important, very knowledgeable Archbishop, Cornelius Iswa. I agree with my colleague that the position taken by the Bishop Emeritus Iswa. When Nkea was in Manfe, can you also tell me that he was inexperienced while in Manfe when the war was raging? And the position he took, and he spoke truth to power in Manfe. Truth to power in Manfe. What has changed? His experience immediately evaporated when he got to Bamenda. His hands were soiled as soon as he received all the gifts and all the goodies coming from La République du Cameroon when he was being consecrated the Archbishop of Bamenda. And since then, he has been compromised. He takes the position of La République du Cameroon all the time. You want to tell me that Nkea did not receive a brand new Pajero from Biya? The same thing that Bishop Kadatumi refused a Mercedes from Biya? You want to tell me that Nkea is not preaching and going after our fighters to go to DDR? Ask the common man on Bamenda Street, they will tell you. I cannot sit here and support the fact that Nkea is inexperienced and so on. How did the Vatican make him an archbishop? From the works, from what they saw in him in Manfe as a junior bishop. It wasn't because he was older than every other bishop that was. And I want to tell you, the position of Nkea is not shared by all the bishops. Each bishop, according to the canon laws, is in charge of his own jurisdiction. Nkea is the Archbishop of Metropolitan Bamenda, which includes all the bishops in Ambazonia, but he cannot dictate to the bishop of Kumbu or Boya or Kumba or Manfe or wherever. Nkea knows what he's doing. He's campaigning for the government of La République du Cameroon. He's campaigning for elections on behalf of the Republic of Cameroon. Is that inexperience? You call that inexperience? I don't know. I'm not a Catholic, but I grew up in a Catholic setting. I went to the Catholic secondary school. I know exactly how the Catholic Church operates. And let me tell you, I cannot accept the fact that Nkea is inexperienced. No, that position can only be taken by people who adore him. I will not.
Yeah. When we see Nkea traveling abroad under the mandate of the government to try to speak to and convince activists, Nkea has clearly taken a position, which I do not also think that position is necessarily out of ignorance. But what I really would like us to focus in conclusion to this before we move into the Moki debacle in Yaoundé, I want us to look at Cameroon's consistency on trying to fractionize us, the people of Southern Cameroons. There's an article I wrote about it. I call it the Northwest-Southwest dichotomy, its origin and its objectives. This is a playbook. Nkea is acting from the playbook of this strategy to fractionize and weaken us as a people. And there are lots of Ambazonians who share these same sentiments that Bishop Nkea, the main objective of his utterances and most of the things he has done he was not the only one that was using this strategy. We're going to get into Mbella Moki shortly, who is also a champion and a CPDM loyalist of this strategy, trying to create some form of a superiority complex on behalf of the people of what they call the Southwest. Where the Southwest came from, only God knows. So, by Mbeseha, I know you're in the house and there's some distraction. I would like you to talk on this theme for those who share this sentiment that Archbishop Nkea is just trying to foster the divide and conquer strategy of La République of Cameroon. And that will be our conclusion of this segment of the conversation. Please, by Mbeseha, speak to us.
Well, I think, are you getting me?
Yeah, I can hear you very loud and clear.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, very loud.
I think when we come here, let us have this straight. When we come here, it is not because I must agree with you or disagree with you. We come here to express public opinion for our followers to get informed opinion. So I'm not bound. But are you still getting me? I'm seeing some frozen thing. Are you still getting me?
Yes, I'm still getting you.
Are you still getting me? Are you still
Yes,
getting
I can
me?
hear you. Yes, I can hear you, but
Yeah, so I'm not bound to.
I can hear you. I can hear you clearly. I can hear you clearly.
But Nsoh is not bound to agree with what I say. No. I'm just expressing an opinion. And I don't think he has even said.
But you did say that it was my opinion that they're being paid. And it was public. It was published that the bishops of Cameroon are receiving money from the state.
Yeah,
it was published.
Let him speak.
I thought this was my segment. It's not a debate between two of us. It's a debate for us to
then make it not.
Don't tell me what to say, please. Unless I get out of here. Let me say my opinion. What you thought I didn't stop you. I had answered that question. I said it is payment. Then how do you account for the bishop, the behavior of Cardinal Tumi, who is supposed to have been paid by you, as you claim? Cleda, from Temiswa, it was also been paid. I think that answers your question. If you have the evidence that they are paid, I'm not concerned with that. But I was addressing the issue, what he said about the Grand National Dialogue. That while Nkea comes in. And I thought I answered that question, unless you didn't follow me. When, according to Andrew himself, when he went to the Grand National Dialogue, his archdiocese, those are the 5 dioceses that are taking a position. And he went there as a delegate. My question I asked is, when he changed his opinion there as a delegate sent by his 5 dioceses, did he consult with them? He didn't consult with them. Was that maturity? Certainly not. Maybe my own language is so different that I'm so fancy.
Maybe by Mbeseha.
So going forward,
Mbeseha, that could just probably be because of corruptiveness. When people get corrupt, they don't work based on protocols. I don't think it
exactly.
All right. But Mbeseha, continue, please.
Well, you're trying to force me to use your word corrupt. which
Okay,
I'm
I
not
get it.
going to use it.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm not bound to use your own words to express my
Yeah, I
opinion
understand.
about what people do. Corruption, in the sense of the word corruption, legally has a lot of meaning. But you can make your point without using that corrosive word. If all the bishops are being paid, it is therefore corruption, which I don't know where they are paid anyway. So, again, I'm pleading with you, Paddy, don't force your words into my mouth. When I have a segment for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, let me make my point. Don't disagree with me personally. Disagree with my idea and bring counter ideas. And so that said, I explained a million times that even Andrew as Archbishop, he doesn't have the experience of the Bishop of Kumbo. He was also a bishop. And I've said the position of the 5 bishops of Bamenda Archdiocese is not homogeneous. And I challenged Bishop Andrew, his own diocese of Bamenda. Let him conduct a private survey there among his own Christians and see how many of them agree with his political position. So that is my point. You don't need to like it, but that is my point.
Yeah, I think you're not wrong with your point. You're not.
Let us move on. Let us move on. Again, I plead with you. Don't intercept when I'm making my own 3 minutes, 2 minutes segment. They don't need to be what you want. But let the people who are following up absorb these things. Digest it the way you want. There might be a million people. I don't say it in their minds. You don't say it in their minds. People digest what we say and come out with their own information, their own informed decisions. What you and me say here is not the one, is not a thing that will force people to go and vote or not to go and vote. What Andrew says is not what thing that will force people to go and vote. Andrew was in Bamenda. They have been preaching voting. Why do people not vote in Bamenda? Why did all the Catholic Christians turn and go and vote? Why did you not do it? They didn't go to vote. In spite of the preaching of their bishop. And so that's the point. We're dealing with our own brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers. These are adults. They are old people with families. They understand this in some time more than we do. Again, the experience from which retired Colonel Nsoh came. Colonel Nsoh lived in 1961. He retired. In 1961, he was an adult. So he knows the story better. That's why he tells you they will know Cameroon without Anglophone wishes. I'm sure probably he voted in 1961. This is an Archbishop retired. Is that what I should be disagreeing with you and me? Certainly not. Let us take it. If I'm wrong, fine. So be it. Let us move to the next segment. Let people digest what we say.
Mr. Mbeseha, I think nobody is wrong with the opinion. I just think, like you've rightfully said, it's about phrasing, and you see people have different ways of approaching it. There are those who feel that Archbishop Nkea is being diabolic in the way he goes about it, and I think what you have said in legal language is also correct. His political positioning could be based on ignorance. And this brings us again to the manipulation, because what the people hear, how they hear, is a strategy of war. When you have a clergy that is trusted by a lot of followers, thousands and possibly millions of people in the Cameroons, come up to make certain statements which are not necessarily bad statements, it becomes really unfortunate. So I'm going to be bringing in Onye Okpala at this moment, who will be talking to us about Mbella Moki. So Onye will be talking to us about Mbella Moki this evening. It's something really very, very important. Onye, you have covered this report. What do you have to tell us, please? Onye, can you hear me? I'm not sure that Onye is getting me from the studio there. And I want to be sure that Onye can hear me. Onye, can you hear me?
Okay, you're right now, yes. Initially, no. But I can hear you now.
Okay, please. I know you have this report about Mbella Moki. Talk to us on it, please.
All right. And so in this particular report, seems like the colonial senator, Mbella Moki, is trying to display some kind of servitude. Well, recently, he has lamented the lack of roads and other neglected Ambazonian areas during a parliamentary session. Let's first of all get that first.
Who are present with us here tonight, my concern and focus is tied to a primary school story. For those of us English-speaking Cameroonians who are here, if you enter the class to make a story, you say, boys and girls, are you ready to hear my story? They will say, yes, what is your story about? My story is about roads. And if the Southwesterner wants to talk in this country, the first outcry is roads. Mr. Minister of Public Works, I want you, with all due respect, to understand the cries that are coming from this house tonight. They are reflections, a perfect reflection of the cries of the average Cameroonian. The question most Cameroonians have for you is that our ministers who are charged with the duty of taking care of the road network in our country, do they circulate in this country by air or by road? How can it be that the economic capital is not properly connected to the national capital of our country? What image are we giving to the world? Mr. Minister, a few days ago you came around with some explanations after the Delegate General for National Security spoke out about the road network in the country. Yes, Mr. Minister, as I said, with all due respect, have you ever lost a relation because of bad roads, Mr. Minister? When the head of state visited Biya and people put their complaints to him, he made a statement I will never forget. As a YCPD militant, the head of state said the crown cannot be happy when the cottage is not happy. Mr. Minister, everyday Cameroonians are dying because of bad roads.
Well, that's not the only video of Mbella Moki. There are other videos showing him claiming that the people of Biya are subscribing to Ambazonia due to underdevelopment. We all know that's not true, right? But critics argue that this narrative grossly oversimplifies the root causes of the Ambazonian struggle in the first place, which stems from allowing Republic to Cameroon's systemic exploitation, invasion of Ambazonia, manipulation, and all of that. But let's hear Moki talking about that first. Okay. Now, Moki's remarks have been met with, widespread outrage, with many accusing him of ignoring the core issues of Ambazonia's illegitimate occupation by the French Cameroons. Instead of addressing the present concern, Moki and other colonial senators like Nkea and Abobala are seen as maintaining the illusion of representation within a colonial framework. And why now, if you may ask? Why now that the elections are around the corner? Can this be genuine? Well, we'll leave that question aside. Their actions have been labeled as complicit in the suffering of Ambazonian population who continues to face economic hardship, neglect, and exploitation at the hands of French Cameroons. Now, let's look at this deeply. The people of the the people of Southern Cameroons are indeed skeptical about their, these promises of development projects and all of a sudden talking in the parliament. Now, if you will remember, a contract was signed to build a cement factory, factories, airports, but up until now, none of these projects have materialized. But it's surprising that Mbella Moki is only realizing it now. That's fine. It is also understandable that Ambazonians are wondering if this is just another deception. Should you blame them? The fact that the individual in question has worked closely with Moja in the past has raised eyebrows as well, shouldn't it? If we may ask. Many are questioning whether this is just a move to stay relevant and gain favor with the Ambazonian people or to further deceive them. The issue of underdevelopment in Ambazonia is a long-standing one. It's about the order of the day. The lack of basic infrastructure, roads, of course, is a major concern. The fact that there is no road even in Ekondo Titi is a daily reminder of neglect in the region and in the country and how far the people of Ambazonia has suffered so far. How come they are only discussing about it now? Shouldn't Ambazonians be worried? While is it possible that the latest promises may be genuine, the people of Southern Cameroons have every right to be skeptical and, of course, ask questions. They have been let down over and over again. It's going to take more than just promises, parliamentary talks to regain the trust, especially not in the wake of elections popping up and Ambazonians gaining momentum for independence. Mr. Tarh.
That's amazing. I was trying to bring in Barrister. I was trying to make sure that I could bring in Barrister Mbeseha there. Sorry, Barrister Gana, who is just joining us now. And I must say that we are having a great time. Barrister Fru, you're welcome. Barrister Gana, you're welcome. We're going to get back to the Nkea issue after this. But gentlemen, you would have watched the Mbella Moki's video that has popped up. My opinion on it is that Mbella Moki is just staging. He's doing some movie there. Barrister Gana, we may want to honor you for just coming now to begin the conversation on this before we move on to the other analysts. Talk to us, Barrister Gana. You're welcome.
Well, thanks for having me here, Comrade Paddy, and thanks to Barrister Mbeseha and Barrister John Nsoh, two committed comrades in the struggle. I think Ambazonia needs to be very grateful to these two senior lawyers who are doing a lot to foster our cause towards regaining our sovereignty. But and greetings to all the listeners out there and to all those who have their heart in this struggle, and to those who believe, and rightfully so, that the regaining our sovereignty is not too far away. Regarding this story with Honorable Moki there, I mean, it is what I call static. It is what I call static. It's neither here nor there, because it is not the genuine duty of French Cameroon to develop Ambazonia. It is not the genuine duty of French Cameroon to, I mean, they might have some administrative duties because they are an occupation force there. I'll go back to von Dinka, the person who kick-started this struggle in the early 80s. And one of the things that the good and honorable von Dinka did was go to the UN to try to have the UN complete its job in decolonizing Ambazonia, in decolonizing the British Southern Cameroons. And what von Dinka was told, and I've spoken extensively with von Dinka, what von Dinka was told was that The only reason why the UN still gives some modicum of attention to French Cameroon being in Ambazonia is because we have our parliamentarians attending their parliament, because we have then at that time we didn't have senators, because we have our parliamentarians representing our people in their parliament. And Nkea came back and I think tried to get all our parliamentarians to get out, to withdraw from their parliament, to withdraw from the parliament of French Cameroon. But we have this thing of the stomach where people are being fed, that is where they want to stay and be fed as much as possible. But they desire, what we call the languor, to be fed, goes contrary to the liberation of Ambazonia. And so they are there serving their purpose. Mbella Moki is not there serving the purpose of Ambazonia. Mbella Moki is there serving his purpose of padding his pocket. So he's crying to somebody who does not have the genuine responsibility, nor does French Cameroon have the genuine desire to develop Ambazonia. It is there, it is in Ambazonia as a tapeworm to suck as much as possible out of Ambazonia. And French Cameroon knows that in the long run, Ambazonians are not asking for some token of roads here and a factory there or a seaport here from French Cameroon. What we want is the crown jewel of who we are, a sovereign, distinct people from French Cameroon. It is the duty of Ambazonians to develop Ambazonia, not the duty of France or French Cameroon to develop Ambazonia. So trying to have them fix roads is like somebody having malaria and you want to cure the symptoms. You want to cure the high temperature, you want to cure maybe the sneezing, you want to cure the body aches. If you haven't cured the parasite, that malaria will not go anywhere. And the parasite in Ambazonia is French Cameroon. French Cameroon needs to get to the negotiation table and get out of Ambazonia. What we need to be talking about are the terms of negotiation, the exit terms of French Cameroon getting out of Ambazonia as an occupation force, and not about some little tokens here and there of roads or hospitals or schools. You know that when Ambazonians are left to their own devices, we build our own institutions, even without collecting revenue from the resources that we have. The PTAs, we build the schools, we build hospitals, we build genuine institutions, way more than French Cameroon can ever do. Then imagine if the purse of our resources, of the exploitation of oil, of the exploitation of timber, of the export of cocoa, of coffee, if we had control over those resources, Ambazonia would truly be a paradise. So what Ambazonia can do is a far cry from what Mbella Moki is asking in the parliament of French Cameroon. Ambazonians need to focus on liberating Ambazonia, on regaining our sovereignty, on kicking French Cameroon out of our territory. So thank you.
It's actually interesting that we would have to just move from the first report into this one. Mbella Moki by Fru is another CPDM loyalist who pushes strongly the agenda of the Southwest superiority complex in their rhetorics. And we've seen him saying that Southwest people are not Southwest people, a few handpicked of Yaoundé, always uses that strategically to continue to divide and weaken our collective. But this is the case here, like Barrister Gana would have said. People see this as electioneering. The election is a few months away, and all the CPDM juntas are out trying to position the people's minds to give some legitimacy in the process that there has been some form of a debate. That's how I see it. Because to me, that was just a movie. It was not it was not convincing enough. Please talk to us, Barrister Fru, in this regard.
Yeah, before I want to take the person of Mbella Moki. Who is Mbella Moki? is a CPDM young man. He started from YCPDM, grew up in the system, became the mayor of Biya, and subsequently appointed to be senator. Mbella Moki has never won election to become senator. He probably, I don't know whether he won the election to become mayor, but he was mayor of Biya. And he came from YCPDM. He grew up what he is. If you look at Mbella Moki on his own, he would not have been where he is today. He's a child of the system. So he is like Barrister Gana says, is talking for himself. He's not talking for any other person, either the Sideways or Ambazonia or whatever. He's talking for himself because he has lived like this. He is what he is. He looks posterious because of the CPDM. So he defends the CPDM. That is the problem that Ambazonia has. Like my most venerated senior barrister chief, the chief that Barrister Gana mentioned, who went to the United Nations, and they pointed to this very issue, the issue of people parading themselves in La Republic and a parliamentary system without being elected, and giving the impression that Ambazonia is participating fully in the political life of La Republic of Cameroon. Is that an excuse that the UN will give for the non-decolonization of the southern Cameroons? That is the position of some misguided people in the United Nations. For Mbella Moki, he can make all the noise he wants. He goes to Biya and talks about the Southwest, that the Southwest are not part of the Northwest. He condemns anybody from the Northwest. He doesn't even know that the Northwest and Southwest was the Southern Cameroons. Mbella Moki doesn't care to know whether the Southwest and the Northwest were once a country. So I will not say much about him. He's a CPDM cohort. He wants to continue to live that way. He has grown in it. If you look at his educational level, he should not be where he is, but he has been catapulted by the CPDM and is now swimming in the title of senator, and is doing very well. So he can decide, he can say something that the people will listen and say, oh, this is the man talking for the Southwest. Why did he only have to talk only about the Southwest if he's talking about roads? And then in some way in between, he adds the link between the economic capital and the political capital. It's a disgrace to the world. Well, that is electioneering. We have nothing to do with La Republic of Cameroon. We will develop our country. All we want is that they should leave our territory and go away and allow us to develop our country. Because they have told so many lies when I was young. Oh, they are going to develop the Limbe seaport into an international seaport because it's the only deep sea port in Cameroon till today. The only engineer that was there trying to build up that port, his name is sitting there in the convict prison in Mbella in Douala, Fonjinda. He never went anywhere. I mean,
before we even speak, they are developing the one in Kribi. A lot of these things, and as we can see, roads and things and many things happening. It's a fraud. So we've all come to that agreement, even social media reaction. You now understand that this staging at the Colonial National Assembly is all a fraud. And I'm bringing the mic to you, Barrister Mbeseha.
Before you go, I want to say that I was mistaken. Is Barrister Gojidinka? The senior colleague that I was, the name went off my mind. Yes.
That's so.
That's the father of Ambazonia.
Yeah. So I'm bringing it to you, Barrister Mbeseha. With all of this, what do you think from your perspective that Cameroon is hoping to achieve? First of all, nationally, the people listening, and the international community by having handpicked individuals like Mbella Moki Charles doing all of this cinema or drama in their National Assembly. What is their thought process? What is their strategy? And what do they hope to achieve? And that's the reason why we're having this conversation, so that they are, first of all, understanding that we are not ignorant, and the world is getting our own dimension or analysis of the whole issue. So what could be Cameroon's thinking having Mbella Moki do this? Because we know it's not genuine.
Well, I think we'll come to the conclusion of what they want to achieve. But let us first of all deal with what they are doing. That will lead us to what they want to achieve. But Mbella Moki, as Brother Nsoh says, has walked through the rounds and fire of the CPDM to today. But where is he today? Mbella Moki is a senator. A senator is a lawmaker. Mbella Moki is one of the 10 senators of the so-called Southwest. They have 10, 3 of which a woman are appointed by the president. He's one of the 3 appointed. But the most important thing is he is part of the lawmaking process. He is in Congress. He's in the House of in the Senate, which is part of the lawmaking institution in Cameroon. And Mbella Moki, what he says there, people who have said he was lamenting. Yes, and I would like to qualify what he was lamenting in short. The lamentations of Mbella Moki. Why is Mbella Moki lamenting? And we're forgetting the occasion. Mbella Moki is not a press conference. Mbella Moki is speaking on the floor of the Senate. He's speaking in the House where they make laws. Mbella Moki is speaking during or at the end of the budgetary session of the Senate, of the House, the 2 chambers. They have just voted a budget. What would have expected Mbella Moki, like any other elected person, election in court, is to be telling the people of Okondo Titi, as he says, of the BLM, whatever thing is cited there, what is in the budget that they voted for these people. Mbella Moki did not need to remind us that 25 years ago, I was in Biya then, Paul Biya came to Biya and promised a bitumen factory. What is a bitumen factory? It's a place where they produce tar, produced from the waste, from the refinery to tar roads. They have not done it since 1991-92 that Paul Biya came and made a statement. I was there myself. It has not been done. If it had been done, his potholder is complaining about, it will no longer be there. But the issue is, Mbella Moki was just finished, they have just finished the session. To be honest, those who are listening to us from Biya and around him, go to Mbella Moki and ask him to show you a copy of the budget they just passed. He doesn't have one. There's no copy of the budget they just passed. And so what was this budget for? So what is Mbella Moki is talking to who and for what? He's addressing government ministers sitting right there. Who is supposed to implement this system? The parliament, the house in which Mbella Moki sits, is supposed to pass laws. They pass the budget, which is supposed to be inside. This is the road from Kumba to Konde Titi, 20 million, whatever amount. This is the road from Fontem or Lebialem to Manfe or wherever it is. 7 million. It is not there. So what is he lamenting? Has the position of a lawmaker become a position of lamentation? No. It is a position of action. It is a position of lawmaking. It is a position of controlling the action of government. So, according to him, they promised to build a deep sea port. They promised to put a cement factory. They promised all these things, and they didn't do. Where are they holding as senators, as Congress people, as lawmakers? Where are they holding the government accountable for not living up to their promises? Zero accountability being held. So Mbella Moki, as Riley says, he puts it there himself. There are elections coming in next year, he says, with his own mouth. What shall we tell our people? So that will take us back to what I just said. That until we analyze where it's coming from, do we know what he's trying to get? He has said it with his own mouth. Elections are coming next year. What are we going to tell the people again? What lies are you going to tell them again? And as Brother Nsoh says, he has been a child of the system for the past 20, 30 years. And so, if they didn't dig the Kondo Titi Road for several years, for the past 45 years, what makes him think that they will dig it next year when there's election? If they didn't build the Butamin factory since 1990, that was promised. What makes Mbella Moki or anybody think that they will do it after the election of next year? He says, we have nothing to offer to kill me, or they will kill us because we are not delivering. And I said in the previous section, knowing the history is an important thing to do in politics. Mbella Moki knew what the House of Assembly stood for in West Cameroon. He would have perhaps known that he has lost the role of a lawmaker. In the West Cameroon House of Assembly, bills passed were not generalized bills. They were passed with details, which included where a school would be, the cost of building the school, which included how many kilometers of road would be dug, the cost of digging them, and then the total will come in. This is what the budget is. They are not doing this, and as I said right now, Mbella Moki, neither him nor any parliamentarian, nor any senator has a copy of the finance bill they just passed a week ago. He doesn't have it because it's not important. They saw it 10 days to the passing. He never read through it. There's nothing inside. And then he's talking to government ministers who should be coming to him as a man who controls them and say, we didn't do this. He's instead holding them to be, trying to be accountable to them instead of being accountable to him.
Yeah. So we all agree. On one thing.
Yes.
Yeah, finish.
Again, I've done that. Where is it heading to? They're heading to 2025 elections. Shall they win?
So we all agree on one thing. That is all a strategic attempt for them to conceive the new lie. I like the way you put it. They're trying to, what next is going to be the new lie? And there are those who have even gone further to think that it's all about legitimizing that system in Yaoundé, that house, by keeping the Southern Cameroons there. It's about legitimizing it. And I wouldn't even want us to belabor the point again, unless very briefly, by Mr. Gana, you have something to react to that very briefly so that we can move into what you were not there. I want to play some 2 videos for you to watch them and give your perspective before we move to the last segment of this evening. Unless you have some. Now, looking at the international community, you have said, number one, they are trying to keep us there by doing this. Barrister Mbeseha, he's saying it's about positioning the people and helping the strategies on the ground on what to do come 2025 election. Barrister Fru is very clear and very direct with his word. He believes that all of that is waste of time. It's all about staging. It's a lie, and we cannot agree any less with him. Maybe you want to say something.
I mean, they've summarized it excellently well. We as Ambazonians, we as the Southern Cameroons, we are not supposed to be beggars. There is, when you talk about the Congress and the Senate, there's a budgetary process where those who are in specific committees can have inputs in creating the respective budgets there. But Barrister Nsoh and Barrister Mbeseha have really articulated it, that our representatives have absolutely no input in doing justice to us as a people, to doing justice to us as a sovereign nation. These representatives are there primarily to pad their pockets. And unless Ambazonia becomes free, unless Ambazonia becomes sovereign, that is just going to be a stage for pretense by the so-called senators or parliamentarians. Thank you.
Well, that's indeed an amazing. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, that's an amazing one. So I want us to quickly get back to these videos. Audience that are watching me, please bear with us. We're getting to this real quickly and very briefly. I'm going to play these two videos. The one side advocating for something which is Bishop Nkea. We have elaborately analyzed it in your absence by Mr. Gana, but this is you will be coming in so we can conclude on it from your perspective. And the reaction of Metro Ndive. Let's begin again with Nkea's position.
When we went in for a grand dialogue, I must be clear to you, the bishops of this province had already put out a memorandum to the Prime Minister in preparation for the dialogue to stand for federation. We said federation. And this is how we went into the dialogue. Now, this is what I want to explain to your televiewers. Right. When we went into that dialogue and we started talking, this was still the opening of the dialogue. It was Chief, the late von Mukete, who got up and he made an analysis. All the videos are still there. Von Mukete started by saying that the position of the Southwest was that they don't want to have anything to do with the Northwest. And that if they are talking about federation, the Southwest position was that they didn't want any federation as long as that would have them to do with the Northwest. We're all in this hall. And Mukete went back to history to analyze the divisions and the disagreements between Southwest and Northwest, and that federation on condition that Southwest and Northwest are not together.
That's amazing. So let's watch another son of what they call the Southwest. That's Metro Ndive from BaKwata land, who was also a participant, so that we are able to process the words of Nkea very well.
He's talking about, they talk about special status. The truth is, he said the evidence are there and the videos are there. How did the special status come about? It's simple. When Agwobala stood and said, they should give federalism, they neglected it. And I stood up and I told them off. I pick up my bag. I said, I'm leaving. This is rubbish. It's there on video. And there was entropy, argument, shouting. The chairman Mbeseha said they should call the police or blah, blah, blah. That's the argument. It was not at the opening ceremony. It was in the decentralization committee. And I'm the one. Because after I took my bag, I told them off. I said, I'm leaving. Then member of parliament in Tiko, he came and pulled me and brought me back there. I even lost my phone in that occasion. So that's how the talker special status came in. So we shouldn't stand and be trying to changing historical facts. And there were two people who came and showed me special status. I said, Alex, please, can you stand and talk about it? One was my classmate in Ngwakele, Bame. He is a member of parliament in CPDM. He came and showed me. I read it. Then there's the then member of parliament CPDM in Tiko. He showed me. I read it. He said, can you talk about it? The list we had the list. Madame Mundi was number 1. I was number 2. So these 2 members of parliament said, Alex, can you talk about special status? They are there, you can ask them. So after Madame Mundi, I was expecting that they would call me to speak. And they skipped. They instead called Akamefumu, the then Minister of Defense. And he talked about special status. That is how it came about. And the only time there was entropy, there was confusion, there was argument, there was fighting in that committee was because of me. That's a fact. So when Archbishop Nkea come and say Southwest position, I'll tell you, if you don't know something, ask. When I went there, the BaKwata chief, they recognized me, they came, I have picture with them. They show me a draft federal constitution drafted by the BaKwata chiefs. Drafted by the BaKwata chief. So we shouldn't say Southwest position was this. There was no Southwest position. Archbishop Nkea is either mistaken or is misleading the public. BaKwata chief, they had their federal constitution drafted. Is BaKwata, are they not from Southwest region? Dr. Muzu talk about federalism. Is Dr. Muzu not from Southwest region? So when we cherry pick, we say things that will suit us. It's very dangerous. It's very cancerous. And to be honest, I was in the decentralization committee. So Archbishop Nkea, I don't know if it's a genuine mistake. You should correct it. You should correct that genuine mistake. Southwest region, they were not standing for 10-state federalism. For Mukete, a CPD, a militant, was talking about 10-state federalism. Maybe it was CPDM position, I don't know. It was not Southwest region. We are all entitled to our opinion. For Mukete was entitled to state his opinion about 10-state federation. Major Alex Ndivelisinge, I'm entitled to state equal status. 2 countries came together. Bishop Nkea, you are entitled to state your opinion. So don't take one person's opinion and generalize it. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this video should reach Archbishop Andrew Nkea. Please get your facts right. I'm not saying you're lying, but if you say half truth, it might be misleading. Thank you very much.
Well, I think, my opinion is that Archbishop Nkea intentionally lied. I don't care how the politician there, Metro TV, is somebody I've spoken to sometime. I respect for his own stance, political stance. I don't agree with him entirely. But in my opinion, by Gana, I feel Archbishop Nkea lied. And it's easier for people to bring up rhetorics that represent where they are leaning. There are those who believe that Archbishop Nkea is acting out of gross corruption based on his mentality. There are others who think that it is ignorance in political representation. All of this culminates to one thing, one and only one thing, not representing the true position of the people that he is called to represent as a Christian leader from a political gathering. Barrister Gana, please talk to us on this entire issue as we conclude this matter with the special status that Cameroon is still trying to push.
The first thing I would say is that when I look at that video, both the video from the clergy, Archbishop Nkea and Metro Lisinge, the first thing is, who empowered them to go negotiate on behalf of Ambazonia? See, when Ambazonians came out on September 22nd, 2017, with plans, marching, braving the army to declare the reassertion of the independence of Ambazonia, That all morphed and evolved into the interim government we have today, headed by Dr. Samuel Sako. That is the legitimate representation or the legitimate representatives of Ambazonia coming out of our September 22nd declaration. Now, we know Archbishop Nkea was there. We know Maitre Lisinge was there. And by the way, I know Maitre Lisinge very well. He was my classmate in CPC Bali. Let me ask you a question. Could President Sako go and attend that Grand National Dialogue in Cameroon and come out safely? Could Defense Secretary Zama go and attend that Grand National Dialogue and come out safely? Could Dr. Abiedu go attend that Grand National Dialogue and come out safely? See, what the government of Cameroon did, and what and us even talking about it is not it was about a grand national dialogue. It was a grand distraction, a grand distraction from what is the legitimate will, the legitimate aspiration, and the legitimate desire of a people. Saddled, rooted, embedded in their legitimate right. The right of a people to be sovereign. So to first negotiate about what is legitimately a people's, you have to first bring the legitimate leaders of the people of Ambazonia in a legitimate forum at a legitimate location. So the fact that they were going into Yaoundé to discuss about the status of Ambazonia or the status of French Cameroon or whatever they were discussing is first and foremost a fraud, because that is not the right forum to discuss it. When the government of when the representatives of Southern Sudan were negotiating with the Northern Sudan for the independence of the South, they were not going to Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, to negotiate that. They went to independent locations where people could, where the genuine representatives could be there and where they could genuinely speak their mind. So first of all, the whole Grand National Dialogue was a fraud. Who elected these two people, Maitre Lisinge or Archbishop Nkea? The government handpicked them. So this whole talking is just static. And that's why I asked the question, could President Sako genuinely go represent Ambazonians and come out safely? The answer is absolutely not. Some of us were invited and we didn't go. We know of people who are adherents or tools of Atanganji who were elected and went there. And listen to what Maitre Lisinge is saying. He's my friend and a brother from college. He's saying, I stood up. It was because I did this. Ambazonia is not about I. Ambazonia is not about some individual who is seeking some grand stage to promote their own self-interested aspirations. When La Republique will be genuinely interested in negotiations, it will happen within the conduct of an international forum where it will be at a location other than Cameroon. So any negotiation that is taking place within that bastardized triangle called LRC for our independence, for the regaining of our sovereignty, is a fraud. And we will regain our sovereignty. We will reassert our independence. These distractions cannot go on forever. So the words of Archbishop Nkea versus the words of Lisinge are all static. It's neither here nor there. It is not happening on any legitimate forum. Secondly, when you go to UN Resolutions 1514 and UN Resolution 1608, you can read all of those resolutions. None of those resolutions talked about some elites of some province deciding for the people of Ambazonia. In fact, UN Resolution 1608, Article 5, talks about the executive authority of the Southern Cameroons meeting with the government of French Cameroon and Great Britain to discuss the status of the Southern Cameroons. It doesn't talk about some elites. And at that time, we had the Southern Cameroons House of Parliament, who were the legitimate representatives of the people. Neither of these two are legitimate representatives of Ambazonia. Neither of these two are legitimate representatives of the Southern Cameroons. If we were to have an electoral process to elect representatives through conduct by a genuine international forum that guarantees the safety of participants, they might be there. They might not be there. But it will not be a forum where people are coming out talking about, I took this position, I representing the people of the Southwest province, hogwash. In genuine Ambazonia, the Northwest and the Southwest does not exist. Let me repeat that. In genuine Ambazonia, the Northwest and the Southwest do not exist. The Northwest, even them talking about Northwest and Southwest, is us falling into their trap, because the creation of the Northwest and the Southwest are instruments to divide us and keep us talking against each other. I come from Batibo. I'll tell you, Batibo is not a grassland region. Batibo leading into Widikum is already the forest zone. So to talk about us being part of the Northwest, the graph is false. During the British rule, Batibo, which was part of the Widikum area, was part of the Manfe division. So talking about Northwest versus Southwest is all hogwash. And the interim government of Ambazonia has rightfully delineated the region of Ambazonia.
The government, not the interim government, the government.
The government, sorry, the government. And the government of President Sako is the legitimate representative of Ambazonia. The Ambazonian State Army, which is a product of the Ambazonian federal government, is what gives power to these pretenses of people going into forums and saying, this is the Southwest position here, this is the Northwest position. Hogwash. So this whole conversation is part of the distraction of French Cameroon using divide and conquer tools, and we should not even pay attention to either of these people. Because as Barrister Nsoh, as Barrister Fru know, we will get into a genuine negotiation where the terms are going, or where we'll be negotiating on the exit of French Cameroon from Ambazonia. And any negotiation that does not focus on regaining the sovereignty of Ambazonia is bound to fail. It is dead on arrival. Thank you.
That's amazing. I would say your involvement in conclusion with this conversation just gives it a breath of fresh air, because it rubbishes what we have been wasting so much time even arguing, which is, I thought, was necessary and very important. That was why I really insisted that all the different perspectives from the legal minds be a part of this conversation. I understand that we have some people, if there are those who may want to call in to react to this phase before we move into the ICC, which the three of you, I cannot be more excited to have the three of you here now this afternoon when we want to talk about the ICC. Honestly, the excitement in me right now is worth it. So I would like the number is on the screen, and that is WhatsApp call only. For those of you who are watching us, you may want to call in right now to make a contribution on this aspect so that we can talk on the ICC in conclusion for tonight's program. So those who are watching us, if you want to call in now, you may call in But now, Maître Ndive Lisinge spoke on special status, you know, and he even said he wanted to make a presentation. We know what that is. From all of you three, and less than 90 seconds each, I want us to give Ambazonia's position when it comes to this whole Cameroon's agenda of a special status. I'll begin with you, Barrister Fru. Not more than 90 seconds, because the next segment will even be more elaborate. I'll begin with you, Barrister Fru.
Who is La Republic of Cameroon to dish out special status to a partner, a supported partner? The United Nations did not make us a province of La Republique. They said we had independence by joining, and they defined the terms of the joining and said that we were supposed to meet the government of the Southern Cameroon and the government of La Republic of Cameroon with the UK. We're supposed to sit down and agree on the policy that will be applied in that arrangement.
Yeah.
To me, it sounded like confederation.
Yeah.
But it never took place.
Yeah.
And we were invaded by La Republic of Cameroon. The word special status is a fraud. Of course, usually by La Republic of Cameroon. Who are they to assign any kind of status?
Yeah.
On independent people.
Who are they to assign
independent people? Who are they? Who are they? What gives them the standing? If you look at Resolution 1514 and 1608, read all that together. We were under a different colonial master, the UK. Trust territory. Trust territory, Class B trust territory under the UK, and La Republique de Cameroon was Class B trust territory under the French. And for some reason, they wanted us now, because La Republique had independence before us. They wanted us now to have our own independence by either joining Nigeria or joining La Republique. Poncha did what he did to get us to La Republique.
We have 90 seconds to handle that. And that's some of the arrogance of Cameroon that is costing lives of many people today.
So the position of this government is we want nothing short of our sovereignty restored. Nothing short of that. Nothing short of that. Special status is a fabrication of La Republique, and they have they don't have the right in international law or in their local law to impose special status on us.
Try to make it a little bit brief. A little bit brief, Mr. Fru. We don't have
I'm through. I'm over.
Yes, caller, go ahead, please.
Hello, Director.
Yes, go right ahead, please. What's your contribution?
Yeah. So I greet everybody. This distraction about the special status is coming up now because those are the kind of manipulations by La Republique. After they have tried to bring people together through reconciliation and whatsoever, that's the reason why you are taking the issue of the special status coming up again. So I just want to clarify something there because Lisinge, the other day was said in Chris Anu show, Chris Anu, who has surrendered and is looking for a referendum and looking for whatsoever, he is also preaching the idea of a special status and whatsoever. Now, before the national dialogue, Lisinge was for Southern Cameroon. And the only problem he had was that he said he doesn't believe in the government, that they should listen to him because he has a political party. So Lisinge went to the national dialogue. He was going there to go and look for his bread. When he got there, he met Joseph Owona and introduced himself to Joseph Owona that my mother came from Bulu and this is you taught me in school like this because he was trying to have a pass. You know, Owona is the person who wrote the 1996 Constitution, all those things.
Yeah.
So that is when Lisinge was begging and begging and begging. Nothing happened there. The special status came before the national dialogue. It came up. Who brought the special status? Maurice Kamto. Maurice Kamto, even Memimefo had him on set. He said he cannot give Southern Cameroon's independence. He will give them a status special, the special status. Kamto is the one who coined special status and gave it to Biya. Remember, even recently he said he went to Italy to give a special document to Biya to talk about the secrets or security of the state. And we also have Ambazonia and the rest who went to prison and told us that they convinced Ayub Tabe for one Cameroon. Even the French deputy, the Nadot, said the same thing. So listen, he's just telling lies here. It is Maurice Kamto who came out with the special status. Yes. So we have all those videos. I just wanted people back home to know so that they should not be looking like maybe a big whatsoever. It is Kamto doing all those things. Thank you.
That's amazing. By Mbeseha, please talk to us. Thank you for that contribution.
Yeah, if you permit me, I will summarize my own argument by summarizing what Gana said. Gana, in my own words, said, what happens at the Ghana National Dialogue, be it reported by the Nkea or reported by Archbishop Andrew Nkea, is irrelevant. It's actually irrelevant to our discussion and to our target for these simple two reasons. The Nkea, they might have gone in for the two-state federation, whatever they call it. They never got it. Nkea and Mokete, who went in for the 10-state federation, they never had anything. All the so-called illegal delegation from Northwest Highway that went in there, nobody had in his mind something called special status. So it was irrelevant. The discussions have nothing to do with us. And then I add what Gana says. Gana says, what they call Northwest and Southwest today, there's nothing like Northwest and Southwest recognized in the language, political language of the so-called Anglophones. It doesn't exist. From Kambe to Batoke, there's nothing known as Northwest or Southwest. It's a creation of Yaoundé, which we should simply disregard. We're wasting our time debating what Nkea agreed or did not agree with Nkea. But that is not down to us. So we didn't mandate them to go there. The argument should not concern us. That's what I got from Barrister Gana, and I think it is the best thing that we can extract from
that was the best conclusion ever.
Thank you very much.
That was the best conclusion from Barrister Gana. So Barrister Gana, on the special status issue, give us not more than 90 seconds the scheme of the arrogance and the illegitimacy involved in that whole thinking of even or suggestion to the people of the Southern Cameroons.
All right, so I'm going to satisfy you with a very brief summary here, and I'm going to summarize this by going back to something I've always said on this show, and I'm going to repeat it to you again. So I'm going to ask you, Comrade Paddy, can you kindly, because you like me so much, and because we had an agreement that I come to your show, can you kindly remove $10 million from your pocket and give to me, please? And I want to make sure that you remove it and put it on the table so that I am sure that you can give me that $10 million, Paddy. Can you remove $10 million from your pocket and give me?
Why? So first of all, $10 million is a huge amount. IRS will not even permit that to happen cash. That's going to be a major issue. Even though I know I'm a billionaire, but removing that is not possible right now. It's going to go through process that,
Thank you. And so your answer just demonstrates or concludes everything. The reason why you cannot remove 10 million from your pocket and give me is because you don't have it. So you cannot give me what you don't have. How can LRC give Ambazonia what LRC doesn't have? The two of us are Class B trust territories coming from 1919, 1922 out of the League of Nations, reconfirmed after the Second World War in 1946. Two separate trust territories with two equal powers. How can one give the other special status? One, neither can the Southern Cameroons give French Cameroon special status, nor can French Cameroon give Ambazonia or the Southern Cameroons special status, because neither has it in their jurisdiction, in their authority, to be able to give to the other. So French Cameroon cannot give us special status because they don't have it. So anything they say about special status is absolutely null and void. It's a temporary placade or a temporary piece of cloth to put it over the eyes of the people of the Southern Cameroon. But history, Obama said, the act of justice bends slowly, but the events of human interaction eventually bend towards justice. The Southern Cameroons are going to get what is theirs, which is their sovereignty, which is their independence. And anything that does not speak fully of the sovereignty of the Southern Cameroons is null and void. Special status does not, so it is null and void. It might be a temporary administrative gimmick that is being played in what they call the Northwest and the Southwest to enable the annexation of the Southern Cameroons by French Cameroon to perpetuate itself for as long as possible. But that will be dismantled sooner than later. So thank you.
Amazing. That, in my opinion, has been dismantled. It's like Jesus cursing the fig tree. The fact that the disciples saw it was still green didn't really mean it was still alive. The moment Ambazonia restored their stolen independence, that framework of recolonization was strategically and legally dismantled. Now we're moving into the last segment of our conversation here this evening. We have the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia addressing stakeholders during the final APP meeting, the Amba Peace Plan meeting, involving executives of every counties fully represented. And during that, he gave a monumental address, which we thought that this would be an important time to bring it to you, the public. Right after that, we're going to talk on two issues, major issues that President Sako addressed during the last Friday's APP's meeting. Stay tuned.
Fellow members of government, dear builders, welcome everyone to the last APP meeting of 2024. Let me begin by congratulating all county and LGA executives who consistently showed up every time we gathered to review the state of our union. Your unwavering dedication and contributions in support of the federal government are commendable. We also acknowledge your relentless efforts towards stabilizing our counties and LGs. Your financial contributions towards special project areas, and your support for other counties and LGAs in distress deserve special mention. Our progress is rooted in divine timing. God can do anything at any time. Those who wait on Him will not be confused or distracted. Human effort, though valuable, are merely external contributions and cannot alter the outcome that God Himself has decided. When He says yes, no one can say no. Ambazonia is making steady progress through the storms, the pain, and the sacrifices of our heroes past and present. I share these words with you to inspire every one of you to draw upon your innermost strength at this critical time. Nothing is big enough to stop us, but only our faith will determine our abilities beyond our strength and weaknesses. Fellow APP executives, this struggle predates every one of us, including our government. It is the struggle that gave rise to the government, not the other way around. Therefore, only the struggle itself, the collective we, can do or undo the government. And by the struggle, I mean the collective efforts of all of us, and no single individual, county, LGA, or government member, including myself, can bring it to an end. This is the people's struggle. Those who misunderstood this basic truth have all been thrown under the bus by the struggle, because the servant cannot be more than the master. Some see no need for a government, but the government is the largest umbrella we have now in Ambazonia. Having the government of Southern Cameroon in place answers to the question, who should La République du Cameroon talk with? Or what is the legitimate authority over the annexed country of the Southern Cameroon's people? A case of annexation of a country like ours cannot be resolved without a representation of the government that was captured and dissolved. We who are still standing here today, we carry inside us the tears, the sweat, the blood, the pain, and the prayers of our people. We represent generations of Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, born and unborn, who are worth fighting for. Some of us have seen the end of this, and thus we remain undeterred by all the present challenges. Like a football match, we have seen the final score. Ambazonia is free. And those who fail to see it, that we are free, are deliberately blind. Let's encourage ourselves with these truths and stay together. We also stand firmly with the wisdom of our county chairs, local government chairs, government institutions, our Ambazonia State Armed Forces, and the people of Ambazonia. While it is true that a minority can sometimes be right instead of the majority, however, in every democracy, even an aspiring one, the majority rules. It does not matter how correct you are. If you always find yourself with the minority, you cannot thrive in a democracy. The only way you can function with the minority within a democracy is to remain with the opposition outside. Because when opposition persists inside, it is not seen as dissent. It is called rebellion. I've also heard some people say they are not hand clappers. By hand clappers, they mean they don't applaud everything without questioning, without understanding. But who applauds everything without understanding, without questioning, unless a moron? That's why it is also an insult to call anyone a hand clapper for any reason. Calling anyone a hand clapper because he or she sincerely sees nothing wrong with what you see as wrong is an insult. Now, how will you describe anyone who opposes even basic common sense facts just to prove he or she is not a hand clapper? Some can also see it as intellectual dishonesty or a much bigger character issue. For example, 1 plus 1 is 2. But what will you say to a student who says the answer depends on who gives the answer? If it is my friend, the answer is 2. But if it is my enemy, 2 is wrong. It's not the answer. We cannot lead when we think in this manner. And we certainly are not prepared to lead this country if our judgment cannot be fair and impartial, irrespective of who and what is before us. We represent the Endelis, the PM Kales, the Mbiles, the Ngomjoa, the Munas, unfortunately, the Forlongs, the Egbes, etc. That's who we represent today. Do we approve of those in our history who simply stood against every good idea for no justifiable reason? Or can we forgive those who stood against the ideas of Foncha, for example, challenge his every move when he tried his best prior to his resignation to take us out, to take us back, to correct this error and pull us out of that fraudulent federation? Remember, today we read about them. Tomorrow, posterity will read about us. On the ICC investigations, this is real. It is not a hoax. Our only prayer is that the court and the international community gets to act on the results of their investigation sooner than later. I hear some critics, some glory seekers, and naysayers claim that the government of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia did nothing regarding the ICC petition. They attribute it instead to certain individuals, such as the Kenyan broadcaster and other Ambazonians. So let me set the record straight. When we engaged the ICC and 8 open jurisdictions, it was a matter of public record. We initiated the process during the peak of COVID-19. We understand that many other petitions have been written to the ICC before ours. The ICC sometimes responds and sometimes does not, especially if such submissions do not meet the legal standards of complaints to the court. But in our case, we received a reply from the court that speaks volumes. Allow me now to read an excerpt from their acknowledgement. Dear Sir, Madam, on behalf of the prosecutor, I thank you for your communication received on the 8th of December 2020, as well as any subsequent related information. The office is analyzing the allegations identified in your communication with the assistance of other related communications and other information available. The purpose of this analysis is to assess whether, on the basis of the information available, the alleged crimes appear to fall within the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court and therefore warrant the opening of a preliminary investigation into the situation at hand. Analysis will be carried out as expeditiously as possible, but please beware that meaningful analysis of these factors can take some time. Then they added, as soon as a decision is taken on whether there is a basis to proceed further, we will advise you promptly and we will provide reasons for the decision. Does that sound like a rejection of our petition? It is on record that our petition was received, not denied, like many others that tried before us and after us. They were denied mostly on jurisdictional arguments. To all those out there challenging our claim because they don't like me, they don't like Barrister Mbeseha or Barrister Nsoh, I say this: bring forth your own acknowledgement letters from the International Criminal Court and let us compare them. You don't have to like us to give us the credit we deserve. Whatever anyone did or has done should be applauded, but without negating the fact that we did what we did and obtained the results that we have shown you. Ours was not some random protest letter to the court. It was a complaint, painstaking, thorough, and professional. We invested the necessary time, the effort, the resources to achieve what many or all before us could not. And our leadership in recognizing the right moment to act is what sets us apart. We must also give credit to the technical expertise within our ranks and the broader struggle that secured this success. I deeply appreciate the Truth and Reconciliation Committee also for the work they are doing so far. I am proud of all of you here who responded to their invitation. This is a valuable opportunity given to us for everyone to be heard and for the government to be advised accordingly. If you are criticizing that committee, then what do you want? What do we want? This is how to have a dialogue in the midst of dissension. And remember, we are in this together. These comrades have stepped up freely to help us look critically into the issues and stabilize our precious boat so we can land sooner and safer with minimal self-inflicted wounds. No one sacrificing in good faith for our cause is our enemy. If these people are not against our government and our struggle, then they are for us. They are friends of Ambazonia who are investing their time to help. Their work and labor will be remembered in Ambazonia, just as every positive contribution towards our cause will be remembered. As we draw close towards the end of the year, let us remember our vulnerable ones on ground one and on the home front. Let us give from our festive menu something to the have-nots amongst us. We are in this together. I have more to say, but let's gather at the fireplace on the 31st of December for my message to the nation. I have a lot to reveal to you about the past year and the year ahead. But remember, I am not resigning. Meanwhile, on the 21st of December, we will meet again for our final Transition Fund Drive 2024. Let's do all we can and God will do the rest for our people. Let us remain united, steadfast, and hopeful as we move forward. Together, we will achieve the freedom and prosperity we seek for Ambazonia. Thank you very much. God bless our beautiful nation, Ambazonia. Thank you for coming.
ready, Houston. The moment we've all been waiting for is almost here. Prepare to lift your spirits and shout it abroad. Shout it abroad concert with the incredible gospel music icon, Sinach.
Victory is my name.
Date, February 7th, 2025. Time, 7 p.m. Central Time. Location, Smart Financial Center, 18111 Lexington Boulevard, Sugarland, Houston, Texas, 77479. A night to proclaim.
Goodness and mercy follows me all my days.
Elevate your soul with powerful music, divine energy, and inspirational moments that will resonate with you long after the final note. Get your tickets using the link on the screen or scan the QR code to experience concert of a lifetime.
We make a miracle working, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who you are.
Save the date because Sinach is bringing her phenomenal voice and spirit to Houston, and it's going to be an unforgettable evening. Mark your calendars, spread the word, and join us for a night of praise, joy, and celebration. Shout it abroad. Wishing all the people of southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, a Christmas filled with hope, peace, and the warmth of unity in the face of conflict. May the spirit of Christmas bring comfort to the prisoners of conscience, strength to the refugees, and courage to the Ambazonian restoration forces. Let the light of the season inspire us to stand together in solidarity and work towards a future of peace and freedom. From ABC Amba TV, on behalf of the government of Ambazonia, may the message of love and resilience shine brightly in the hearts of all. Christmas of hope, unity in adversity.
You're welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, especially those who are watching us. And you, immediately after the president's speech, you were all waiting with great anticipation. So I devised a way of increasing your anticipation to this analysis. There are two aspects of the president's speech. He said a couple of things, but there are two aspects of the president's speech which I'd like us to attend to. And the first, let's reverse the order. The first will be the ICC Controversies. A lot of people claiming responsibility. We spent all through last week talking about it, and we promised Ambazonians we're going to get into a core of that discussion again today. Even before we thought of that, the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia gave an address that seemed to be in sync with what would have actually happened. And there's this whole thing of Ambazonians or Southern Cameroonians or proxies of Cameroon always trying to deny this government the right to the glory that they deserve. And I will begin with you, Barrister Fru, in this regard. Please talk to us after listening to the president. I know you had the chance of talking to the stakeholders of the Ambazonian movement during the APP. Maybe you want to say some of those things again to a larger community of Ambazonians and to the international community, especially to the proxy media was mainstream that is parading the falsehood agenda of Cameroon. Talk to us, Barrister Fru.
Yeah, Paddy, thank you very much. Like you rightly said, the three of us on this screen now, we worked on that file. Barrister Mbeseha, our most senior colleague and chairman of the Judicial Council, Barrister Gana, who is a deputy chairman of the Judicial Council, and me, the Attorney General of Ambazonia. All of us sat down, having taken over the file from an American law firm that was previously briefed, paid $15,000, and they did nothing but ask for more money. So we decided to take it over. And when we took it over, three of us worked diligently to produce the criminal complaint. We had one difficulty, that of jurisdiction. La République de Cameroon is not a member of the ICC. They have not ratified the Rome Statutes. So that was the dilemma that we had. So fortunately for us, we have a senior colleague, most senior colleague, Charles Taku, who is practicing at The Hague. He reminded us that Nigeria is taking part in what is happening to us. The bare fact that they deported asylum seekers and refugees seeking protection back to where they are running from, it's a violation of an international convention on the protection of refugees and asylum seekers, as was enacted in 1951 and ratified by Cameroon and Nigeria in 1961. So he advised us to bring in the Nigerian government, the President of Nigeria, Buhari, and more especially, they will have to sort themselves out through the investigation, and a general who took upon himself to work with Ataganji and Rene Sadi to capture our leaders from Nigeria who were already asylum seekers, who were refugees, and send them back not to a third country of their choice as the law provides, but that is if they committed any offense in Nigeria, but they send them back to where they are running from. They thought that by the time they got there, they will be executed. Fortunately for us, we found them alive, and they are now languishing in Kondenge maximum prison for life. So Barrister Taku advised us to annex that judgment and bring Nigeria in, because Nigeria is a full member of the ICC. And then we tied Nigeria to Cameroon, both of them acting in concert. And that's what we did. And our file was accepted by the letter that you heard the president read. And we are waiting after the investigation, because they have opened up the investigation. The investigators are now on the ground. And I suppose they are on the ground in Ambazonia, in Yaoundé, and in Nigeria. They will come up with their own analysis and they will inform us subsequently. I can easily say that this work is going to take some time, and so let's keep our fingers crossed. When they finish their job, they will tell us who they are indicting and who they are not indicting. For them to have gone on the ground based on based on the criminal complaint that we filed, it's a big victory for us. And let Memimifo and his cohorts who are parading a narrative that it was not fired by us, that it is not on the basis of whether we ever fired. It is some broadcaster, Kenyan broadcaster who somehow influenced a certain organization in South Africa to file. And that happened just last week, less than 2 weeks. And do they really think that because you filed in less than 2 weeks, the ICC will immediately go on the ground because you filed something? Before our filings, Barrister Akeremuna had filed and was rejected. Professor Anyangwe filed and was rejected. And even this Lissinge that we're talking about, he filed something. They didn't amount to nothing. So many people have filed and it has amounted to nothing. So we are very happy to announce that this government is leading the fight to our final arrival in Biya. But before we arrive in Biya, justice must be done and seen to be done. Thank you very much.
That's amazing. By Mbeseha, I'll be asking you almost the same questions this evening. This whole positioning of people trying to take responsibility for what they really didn't do, and which we understand, like the proxy media of Mimime for fostering that. We know that is Cameroon's engineering. What do you think again that they are trying to achieve by all of this? Is it some form of distraction again? What's the calculation? I told somebody at the background, maybe I should hint you on this. I said for Cameroon didn't know today that it was going to be public what the ICC would have done. I'm sure 2-3 weeks ago, for them to have said it is that group that Barrister Mbeseha or Barrister Fru is saying, I think they would have fast forwarded that to distract people from the credibility, because the acknowledgement of that letter in itself already tells the international community the credibility, competence, and capacity of the government of Ambazonia. So I put it again to you, Barrister Mbeseha. What could be this objective of people trying to take credit for what they really didn't do, and then deny the real person from taking the glory?
I think the answer is simple. The simple answer is people are trying to own what they do not have. That's the bottom line. It is not manipulation from Yaoundé, because Yaoundé doesn't like being indicted. So they're not going to manipulate their own indictment. So these people trying to harvest where they did not sow. But that's not the important thing now. For now, I think every reasonable Ambazonian knows that there's a fire there. There are ongoing investigations as we speak. So what's important for us and for all Ambazonians to know is what you expect next. Because that's the education they need in this type of process. When you say the ICC prosecutors or agents are on the ground, what does an Ambazonian living in Garibu, living in Kwakwa, living in Pinyin, where most of these events took place, expect? And that's what I want us to deal with. When you hear that an investigator is coming, don't expect to see somebody at your doorsteps driving a limousine, driving a four-wheel drive car. Expect particular, a simple person making a call to you, just an ordinary call, and say, well, I say I'm interested in something that happened in Garbu. Can you talk to me? He said, yes. When can we talk? Something as simple as that. Expect that, in fact, the evidence we put there is what we gathered, most of us, from abroad. They come on the ground to authenticate what is written there. One. Also, to get people who will testify in court. That evidence is enough. It's not enough to convict somebody. Somebody must come and testify, give testimony of what happened on the spot. And so expect people to come to you, for example, in Garabu or Kwakwa, or any of those incidents that you know, and ask you most of the time, if you go to Garabu or to Pin or to Kwakwa, you're not going to find the people who are there involved sitting there. The matter of escape to your own day. It's not a matter of escape abroad for fear of their own lives. But if you have an idea about it, expect this investigator, a simple man with a simple phone, maybe with a small tape recorder in his pocket that you might not see, asking you questions about that. If you know about the incident, for example, but you know that the brother or the sister or the wife or the husband or the child of the person who was killed is still alive, but he's not in Garibu, he's not in Kwakwa, he's not somewhere around there. He has escaped, maybe to Yaoundé, maybe perhaps even abroad. He might be found today in America or in Japan or in China, somewhere else. Give them the information. This boy or this girl or this woman whose husband was killed is called Mama Susanna. She went to the US. I have her phone number. I will give you the phone number. Because they will contact her. They will contact him. They have the ability and the power to bring him or her to the court for trial, to give evidence. They have the instruments. If they don't want to fly the person from China, they have the instruments to have the person testify to the court directly from China. So keep nothing in hiding. Feel confident that you are safe. Because under the ICC also, that's what they call the witness protection system. They know that if you are living in Garibu is so common, or in Mount in the hospital, and you are aware of this and you testify, they know that Yano will come after you. They want to kill you, to eliminate the evidence. But rest assured that if you give this thing correctly, there is protection for you. They offer you protection. The ICC has adequate protection against, for the security of their witnesses. So, bottom line, feel confident that what you are going to give out there is not going to hurt you. You'll be properly protected. Give them the information that is required without hiding anything. If you say the guy who did this thing, is this, I know the person, I know the name, they're not coming back to follow you. They're not going to get to call the guy and say, well, we know that we'll give the others. Just give the information. They know how to protect you. And so that is what we should expect from now going on. Whether whoever claims to own the thing, we all know, most of us, at least the majority of us, not that they are trying to harvest what they did not sow. They're just lying. Yeah, but as Gana said, we don't need to waste our time on imposters. Because they have no evidence. The president said it. If they have their own evidence, let them bring it forward. That's okay. If our own investigation is going on along with theirs, so that's all to the credit of Ambazonia. But for now, we know that we have our own. We have to guide our own troops. We have to coach our own witnesses. We have to tell our own people who follow us what to do, what to expect, what not to do. And so that's what is important for us now. There's no doubt, or very little doubt, that investigations are going on. But we know that most of us back home were frightened with the notion of going to court. Nobody wants to go to court. So when they appear before your door, maybe they are not all living in towns. They are not all educated. Don't be scared. They're not coming to capture you. They're just trying to get information from you to vindicate your pain. To vindicate the pain of your mother, your father, your sister, or your house that was burnt. Give this information without fear or favor. If you don't have it, I know somebody who has it. Give them the name of the person. Give them the contact information if you have. Because they have tools to contact me, to contact you, or anybody abroad to get that information. If they have the rare information that we have a better case, I'm sure we're going to be vindicated. That's the take-home lesson we take from here. at least the majority of people have already said, know that there's a file there. They know those who file it. If it is praises, we have taken more than enough. If it is insults, we have had enough from our detractors.
Correct.
So our brothers and sisters who will be called to testify, I doubt if the three of us here, any of us will be a witness. But if we happen to be one, we know what to do. But the bulk of us who don't know what to do should take this as a guideline. Because it's going to go on. We don't know how long, but the investigations will go on. Rest assured, you'll be contacted if you had an idea about Garabo. You'll be contacted if you have something about Kimbong. And I remember we said in the earlier segment that the Bishop of Manfei was in Manfei, Nkea was not in Bamanda, talking about Kimbong, crying. They will contact him. I don't know what he will say. Because the good thing about this case is that most of the things that we say and discuss here, the enemy recorded them. He taped them. He recorded them himself. So even if they go to Bishop Andrew, I wonder whether he will to retract what he said and was recorded when he was in Manfei. They said, no, I was lying. That would be on orthodox of a bishop. So there's more than enough information. And again, not every one of us is as well informed on how to provide evidence. You have to listen to these things carefully. If you have doubts, and you have, even after this, call brothers and so call any of us. We'll still give you the information in the simplest language that you can understand how to help us move on. And as I said, all of us who are still alive will fight and fight until these who did this thing to us are held accountable, individually and collectively. Thank you, Paddy.
That's amazing. Barrister Gana, I'm coming to you with a kind of different twist to that question. You were a critical part of the processes that led to the fruits we're bearing today, with ICC actually being more intentional when it comes to seeking for justice. Looking at what was done, what were the elements that you thought were employed during the process to have made your team a success? And also, now that it's global, it's everywhere in the world, that the ICC is after the perpetrators of the genocide in Ambazonia, how can this affect our foreign policy, or should I say our diplomatic endeavors during this time of war? Barrister Gana, please talk to us.
Yes, Director Paddy, thanks a lot for the questions you are asking. And when President Sako was speaking, there's something he said that kind of piqued my attention. President Sako said, a lot of things happen because God says so. And if God says it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And if it's not in God's timing, it's not going to happen. With his manifest humility, he articulated that, and that is so true. And when you look at this filing that was done, and before I highlight the three of us who worked painstakingly on it from beginning to end, sometimes you just have to give credit to somebody else that is due credit. And I'm going to give credit to somebody that just out of transparency and candor, somebody who started with us from the beginning, but somehow dropped off along the way. Bo Herbert, who is a very veteran journalist in Cameroon. Bo Herbert participated at the infancy in assisting to catalog some of these crimes that were perpetrated. So let me put that out. But we worked painstakingly for a period of about 6 months, meeting weekly and sometimes daily to analyze, to assess. Because when you're filing a complaint, be it a suit, a complaint, a criminal, a civil suit in law, there are very many facts that you have to consider. And Barrister Fru talked very incisively about the issue of jurisdiction. So we met to analyze each target of our complaint, each perpetrator, and there are at least, and I'm not going to talk about the maximum number, there are at least 95 individuals within the hierarchy of the Cameroon government who participated, fostered, administratively okayed, or gave action towards the perpetration of this crime. So in terms of high-ranking officials, there are at least 95 of them. There are more than that, but I'm just going to say there are at least 95 of them. So we had to assess each of these individuals to see how they fit into this puzzle of genocide. And this complaint that we're talking about is about a 160-page complaint. So it's a very voluminous complaint containing evidences, dates, the various massacres, which Barrister Mbeseha has named some of them: Ngabu, Jiamot, Kumba, Kembong, all of them, and many, many other. And we analyze each of these massacres individually, attaching the facts, attaching the dates, describing the circumstances, and providing evidence to the highest degree of specificity that could guide investigators to what we were talking about. And there are pronouncements that have been made by the government of Cameroon that are also, that we keyed on them and we cited them in this filing as uncontroverted and unambiguous evidence, uncontroverted and uncontradicted. For example, if you look at the case of a massacre that took place in the southwest in the south region of Ambazonia, where there were some massacres and the government was trying to refute it. And it was General Nguini, the general within the Cameroonian army himself, who said that that wasn't done by the Ambazonian fighters. It was done by the Cameroon army. So there's uncontroverted, uncontradicted evidence, even through the pronouncements of members of the government of Cameroon, that kind of demonstrate the complicity of the government of Cameroon and members within the government of Cameroon in their participation towards this genocide. But I also want to speak on the expertise of this panel and the dedication of these three lawyers that you're looking at. It wasn't easy. I'm a businessman, and I had to dedicate a lot of time away from my business, especially as I don't want to say anything detrimental to my two learned colleagues here, but they studied law and they practice at a time where they are not as adept in computer skills. I come from a background where I did IT. I'm an A+ engineer. I'm a systems engineer. I'm a certified software engineer. And so we had this combination of their experience. Barrister Fru knows Cameroon, knows the players very well, practiced in that environment, and has access to a lot of information. Barrister Mbeseha, again, practicing in Cameroon, knows the players very well and has worked within the judicial arm of the UN. He worked in Ivory Coast, so he understands these processes very well. I, for one, studied law in the United States. I got my Juris Doctorate here. Understands computer technology, understands research very well. In fact, when I was doing my Juris Doctorate at the University of Kansas City, Missouri, that's when this struggle started in 2016. I dedicated my thesis, my final thesis out of law school, to the situation in the southern Cameroons. And so I'd already gone into the UN files, all of those transcripts in the decolonization committee, and research our situation that could tie into this filing. And with my computer skills, it enabled combining what the experience that Barrister John Fru Nsoh has and the experience that Barrister Mbeseha has into one powerful locomotive that finally delivered this complaint we're talking about. And I saw President Sako read that acknowledgement, which we all have copies of that, But what our Ambazonians need to know is that we have copies of this filing amongst us, as well as in very secure locations. So this filing is something which, if the ICC had not acted on it now, it would have died. The evidence is still there, and we continue to enrich that evidence. And as Barrister Mbeseha said, if you're listening from Cameroon, If you're part of the Cameroonian army and you have information that speaks to these massacres, you saw what just happened. The ICC opened a complaint against the government of Cameroon because of what we did. If you have information that enriches this process, you now know, and I repeat, you now know that finding a way to communicate and supply this information to us, to Barrister Fru Nsoh, to Barrister Mbeseha, to myself, it's not going to go for naught. We know how to direct these incidences to the right quarters. So again, it was a combination of expertise, God-ordained experiences at different phases of our lives, the passionate dedication of us to deliver this, the willingness to sacrifice time away from our families, away from our activities, away from gainful employment, to be able to put this together and deliver it, that made a difference. And make no mistake, this was done under the auspices of the interim government. Because when we were done assembling this complaint in a thorough legal format, if I could share my screen here, I will go into those files and show them to you. So it's not something that is here. It's just that I cannot share my files here with you. If we when we are done, the fees to mail this complaint to the ICC came from the interim government. So make no mistake, it wasn't that we worked on it, but the mailing of it was done hand in hand by Barrister Fru Nsoh, who was in the Maryland area, working with President Sako to ensure that these files were mailed and ensure that these files got to the ICC. And one other thing,
correct,
we did not just file these complaints with the ICC, because again, jurisdiction is a big issue in law. For example, here in the United States, if a case has federal jurisdiction and you file it in state court, they're going to throw it out because it does not have the right jurisdiction. So I can explain jurisdiction for days and for days. But we research to know legal forums around the world, nations that accept ICC jurisdiction, because ICC jurisdiction is very specific. But we also had to research nations that can also prosecute on a case. If the ICC does not prosecute, they can do it. Case in point, when they filed the case against Hissène Habré in Europe, Senegal could prosecute that case because Senegal also accepts ICC jurisdiction. So what did we do? We researched all of these nations that accept ICC jurisdiction, and we filed in all of these nations. So this same complaint you're talking about was not just filed with the ICC, it was filed with Senegal, it was filed with South Africa, it was filed with Germany, it was filed with Norway, it was filed with England, it was filed with Canada, it was filed here in the United States.
Norway,
yes.
Norway,
yes. So there are 12 separate jurisdictions in 12 separate nations that received these filings, and a lot of them acknowledge our filing. Canada did, Norway did, a lot of other nations, Belgium did, So again, if Mimi Mefo is saying something that is not consistent with the truth, it is not necessarily that she is lying. It is that she just doesn't know, because we were not doing this for publicity. We're not doing this.
Pastor Gana, let me come in there. Let me come in there a little bit, because there's an aspect of this question you have not answered yet, which I want you to answer. But before we get to that aspect, I want us to look at very clearly this letter of acknowledgement is clearly on the screen. We still have people debating, and the challenge President Sako is providing to the world, to those claiming to take responsibility, is not saying for you to give a receipt of your filing. President Sako is saying show proof of acknowledgement, because not every letter can be acknowledged. So I want that it's very clear on the screen. I can observe that some of these individuals, there's a certain Frank Will watching from one of our social media platforms right now, saying that the ICC said they received it, the complaint from Pan-African Forum. We need a document to prove that, and that's where I want you to talk, but then conclude by telling us it's all about the genocide in Ambazonia. How does this affect our endeavors? When we try creating relationship, seeking for advocacy and propaganda, that's all diplomacy. This ongoing investigation, how does it affect merit or the demerits of it in our diplomatic efforts? Talk to us, please, in conclusion.
Yes, again, that letter you just showed there, and all of us have copies of that letter. That is, this is, look, this is not about if we did it or if we didn't. This is not about us. This is not about Barrister John Fru Nsoh. This is not about Barrister Mbeseha. This is not about Valentine Gana here. This is about Ambazonia. This is about the people who were killed, the mothers who were raped, the old people who were burnt, the people who were burnt in their homes in the dark of night, the people in Gambu, the people of, this is not about us. Because if it were about us, maybe we would have not sacrificed this time. Now, to address the question, to answer the question that you asked, how does this help our efforts to regain the sovereignty of Ambazonia? Look, Paddy, when this, maybe some of you guys don't believe it when we say this struggle is a God-ordained struggle. The testimony of my own life. Sorry, I'm going to distract you, and this is not about me, but I just want to give you the testimony of my own life to tell you that this is a God-ordained struggle. Before this struggle started, I was very successful in corporate America, working as a manager. God called me out of corporate America to go to law school. My colleagues in corporate America thought I was crazy in my 40s going to law school. 2016, 2017, when this started, I went into the office of the dean of my law school. When I saw people being killed in Bamenda, I practically broke down in tears. She wanted me to take some time off. I said, no, I will not. That is why I decided to take the issue of the Southern Cameroons as my final thesis in law school. To me, that was not my decision. To me, that was God's decision. And for God to have put I and Barrister Fru John and Barrister Mbeseha together, you need to know how painstakingly we worked to put these two together and how our diverse strengths help make this a success. But how, again, does this contribute towards the regaining of our sovereignty? The demonstration is now being done in so many different forums, documented that our coexistence through annexation with French Cameroon is not working. It has never worked from day one, and it has resulted in a genocide, which has the capacity of another bigger genocide if we don't exit from this bastardized union. Remember, when Pa Augustin Dangam and his colleague filed the case against French Cameroon, Augustin Dangam v. La République du Cameroun, a ruling that was done in 2009 in Banjul, where they declared that the people of the Southern Cameroons are a distinct people in Cameroon with the right to self-determination. It was also said in that ruling, if you read that ruling fully, is that if these people are not treated right in Cameroon, they have the right to take steps to exit the union. So drip, ruling after ruling, forum after forum. If you look at what they call the UN Security Council forum that took place, I think it was in 2001 or 2021 or so, where it decided, the United States brought this our case in that forum, and by a vote of 11-4, the 15 members of that extended Security Council voted in favor of taking the issue of Ambazonia in the UN Security Council. Only France, Belgium, and I think China abstained. So this is a accumulation of facts and incidences pointing to the fact that Ambazonia, that the erstwhile Southern Cameroons, does not belong to that union. And Paddy, that is why the government of French Cameroon is running away from an internationally mediated forum, because the mountain of these evidences, the mountain of history, the mountain of rules, which is where law starts from, which is where legitimacy starts from. Legitimacy starts from the fact that what is the rule? What is the rule that applies to this situation? The two main rules that apply to this situation are UN Resolution 1514XV and UN Resolution 1608. Those are the two main rules. And those rules speak highly against our union with French Cameroon. Then when you add the body of all of these evidences that are happening, adding to the fact that now governments in French Cameroon or individuals within the government of French Cameroon will start paying a very high price for keeping Ambazonia. It all speaks to the freedom, the regaining of our sovereignty, and the reassertion of our independence sooner than later. But also, when you're listening to this, when you're listening to what we are saying, when you see the body of what we have done, and you are an Ambazonian, and you have not contributed to this struggle, and you know there's an Ambazonian state army that is fighting to liberate us, and if you haven't contributed to the Ambazonian federal government, headed by Dr. Sako, that is enabling all of this to happen, you need to start chipping in. I don't care if you're in Yaoundé, if you're in Douala, if you're in Kumba, if you're in South Africa, if you're in Beijing, because all of these actions are going to cumulatively free us from French Cameroon. And that is why you see us.
We have a question that somebody is from the audience watching us is going to ask you people to conclude. But that will be the last part of it, which will be very soon, and that will be the last thing for this. But I want to bring up a video of someone who happens.
Paddy, just
Yes.
1 minute. Let me just say, because it's good to give credit where credit is due. Let's give credit to our comrade who started the Ambazonian Genocide Library.
Genocide Library, Matt Atungo.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's an amazing.
Let's
The
give
importance
credit
of
to
that platform
the
can never be overemphasized.
Dr. Matt Atungo.
Dr. Matt Atungo, yes.
God be his helper.
Yes.
And that platform is updated every single day that the genocide is in Ambazonia. Now, talking about testifiers, home and abroad, we have an important testifier. I want to give an excerpt of his video right now so that we can make brief commentaries on it, the impact this can play. Because, you know, on this platform, we have been talking, and there are those who feel that we are either inciting division or we are just talking when we say the things we say. A lot of people say that. So let's talk on this testifier before we get the call. Listen to him.
Sur des allégations de soutien, d'appel à travers les réseaux sociaux à commettre les crimes de guerre et crimes contre l'humanité dans le Cameroun anglophone. Alors, la toute première information que j'aimerais mettre à votre disposition est que l'affaire Ayabacho devant les tribunaux norvégiens est à sa phase de l'audition des témoins. Bon, ça c'est l'information que je voudrais de prime abord partager avec vous. Et parmi les témoins qui sont entendus se trouve votre humble serviteur que je suis. Alors, ce mercredi 11 décembre 2024, j'ai fait l'objet d'une audition au niveau de Kripus, c'est dans la capitale norvégienne appelée Oslo. Voilà. Donc, j'ai été auditionné en tant que témoin où j'ai dit ce que je savais du mouvement indépendantiste anglophone, d'Ayabacho Lucas, de Egossi, etc., etc. Bon, je n'entrerai pas dans les moindres petits détails de tout ce que j'ai dit, parce que j'ai été entendu pendant, l'audition a commencé à 10 heures, et elle s'est achevée à 15 heures, donc pendant plus de 4 heures de temps. J'ai été auditionné, j'ai dit tout ce que je savais, bon, je ne vous dirai pas quoi, voilà. Tout cela reste dans le secret de l'enquête, parce qu'il faut respecter la justice norvégienne. Il ne faut pas faire comme ces petits villageois et singans du régime de Paul Biya, qui, quand la justice norvégienne, ou je sais pas moi, la police norvégienne a interpellé Ayaba, ils ont bondi de joie. Oui, vraiment, oh, le succès de la coopération entre le Cameroun et la Norvège. Donc, c'est-à-dire que pour eux, c'est comme si les magistrats norvégiens ou alors la police norvégienne étaient aux ordres de Yaoundé. Genre, oui, le gouvernement camerounais a souhaité que la police norvégienne ou la justice norvégienne mette la main sur Ayaba et le verbe s'est fait cher, etc., etc. Donc, mesdames et messieurs, l'enquête suit son cours normal. Je peux vous rassurer que l'affaire suit son cours normal. D'autres témoins, après moi, vont être attendus. Bon, je ne vais pas vous dire exactement ce que j'ai dit là-bas. Donc, je ne vais pas entrer dans les détails. Mais cependant, j'aimerais dire à la pègre qui dirige le Cameroun depuis le palais présidentiel de Toudila, depuis Yaoundé. Vous avez souffert là-bas avec moi, hein? Je vous ai versé là-bas, Nawab. Vous tous là, les Tanganji, les Mbankui, et vous, et dès que je vous ai versé là-bas, en fait, c'est tout ce que je peux dire par rapport à l'audition.
I think this is quite important. You know, independent journalism or journalism in general, when it comes to wars, is very important. And that's why Cameroon is investing a lot of money. And I don't want to undermine it. Cameroon is investing a lot of money to ensure that they could manipulate journalists like Mimi Mefo that supposedly flee away from or ran away from Cameroon, but now acting as a proxy. Now, Michel Biem Tong, I've known him for about more than 10 years. I remember when I was in Yaoundé, he was just a blogger. And I was surprised. At that time, I was a federalist. Just came back from South Africa and we're supporting Agbobala and the consortium and all of this. I was so surprised that I thought he was a Bulu, but he is from Mafia. One of his parents is from where Eto is coming from. These people, Eto's village. That's where he's coming from. And I was surprised a French Cameroonian actually dissecting at a time when the emancipation we have today is not what it is. Michel Biem Tong stood on air on Facebook in Cameroon at that time, 2016, 2017, and was educating the people of French Cameroon. I thought he was an Anglophone that speaking French or a Southern Cameroonian. Then I realized that the guy was 100% French Cameroonian, had never ever even visited Bamenda or Boya prior to that time, educating them that it is a historic fraud, is an annexation, and this testimony that he's saying today has a lot of weight for this reason. He was arrested, detained in Set. That's how he ran away from Cameroon, went to West Africa before he finally found himself in Europe. I was pleased the other day when we were talking, he called me. I tried reaching him prior to that time for other things we were doing. And then he called back and was telling me that we can't talk for long because he's actually going for this meeting. After that, again, we had a conversation. I'm also impressed. But we have so-called Anglophone journalists that are unable. For Hansen, he has just taken asylum in Switzerland. He will not be so credible enough to even speak. How important is this testimony as Ambazonians right now? I want you to react very briefly, Barrister Fru, so that we can take the call coming in and conclude this program. Barrister Fru, Barrister Mbeseha, and Barrister Gana, these testimonies coming in, how is it important in these investigations, the one in Oslo, the one in ICC? You have known his reports, so probably they would have listened to his reports, and then like, man, come and talk to us one-on-one. If this is not just social media trolling, come and talk to us. Barrister Fru, please talk to us.
Yes, I think it is very, very important. His testimony is very, very important. And you know that Ayabacho has committed crimes against humanity, war crimes, by executing extrajudicial executions in Ambazonia. He has killed a lot of our people. I take the case of the two big massacres he committed in Guzang. The one that he killed 6 of our restoration forces, as they were called then, and then the 2 young men that he executed in Guzang Market Square. And not only that, he has been known to have cut people's heads, ordered people's heads to be cut. He killed General Ivo, and he has been kidnapping our people and taking ransom. So this young man's testimony is going to help. Even the case in ICC, I will not be surprised, Paddy. I will not be surprised if ICC will ask to interrogate Ayabacho, and if possible, indict him too. He did not feature in our complaint at that time. He did not feature in our complaint at that time. But when the people go, when investigators go on the ground, they are not only looking at the people that were cited. Wherever as they investigate, anybody who is involved in any kind of killing, extrajudicial killing, and so on and so forth, can be indicted, irrespective whether it is we mention him in our filings or not. So don't be surprised if Ayabacho becomes part of the defendants that will be going to the Hague, and they will have to call on Norway to deliver him to them. I mean ICC. That's where I think I'm just thinking aloud. It may not be the case.
Yeah, I think speculations like that is the objective of this discussion. Like you heard Barrister Mbeseha said, we are making our opinions clear so that the public can assess and also educate the international community, because this production today is a tool, I would say, is self-evident and is also used for investigation. Barrister Mbeseha, please talk to us.
I think the testimony of Michel Biem Tong is absolutely important, because he has no interest. If you are me testifying, they will say we have interest in the thing. But this is a guy who has no interest to protect. But it also gives him a better standing. If the world can rely on him, if international organizations can rely on his reporting, it gives him an added advantage in this whatever thing is pursuing as a profession. And then, of course, as Barrister says, when it comes to war crime, there's nobody who will be left out of it. The father who made the complaint, if any of us is involved, they are going to be spared. Now, when they go out for investigations, everybody is at risk. A good example, for example, is what happened in the Côte d'Ivoire. In the Côte d'Ivoire was never a party to the ICC. But Gbagbo, Laurent Gbagbo was president, he wrote to them and invited them to come investigate the rebels. And then they came, at the end of the day, at the close of the day, who are those who were indicted? Gbagbo himself, his wife, and others. So the net is open for everybody. The good thing we have that we know is that our own ASAs are not yet involved, at least not to the best of our knowledge. They are not involved in this stuff. And so we can only encourage them that everybody should know that even war has its own rules. If you violate the rules of war, you become a criminal. And then, of course, we say Michel Biem Tong is doing a good job. Many others will be called. If it's called now, it is in the case of Cho Yaba. But the case of Cho Yaba is interrelated with the Ambazonian struggle. So it just shows that the world is noticing what is going on.
Yeah.
So we can only say thank you for your good job and encourage our people, those who have been contacted, as I already said, to come forward with any evidence that they have that directly links any person that they know to the war crimes that you are alleging.
I actually think that Ambazonia should applaud you people, the lawyers, a lot for proactively, way ahead of time, taking measures to ensure that we prosecute our self-defense initiative legally as referenced by the Geneva Convention. Barrister Gana, I'm coming to you. This testimony on behalf of Ambazonia, what impact do you think it can make in the proceedings, the one in Oslo, the one in the ICC in The Hague? How can it change the dynamics?
Again, just to comment about that evidence that was being, or the testimony that has been provided by Michel Biem Tong there. Some of the richest evidence you can have in any trial or in any complaint is evidence that is direct, is evidence that is uncontroverted, is evidence that is uncontradicted, and it's evidence that is not done in its own self-interest. And a lot of the evidence which is being communicated there with Monsieur Biem Tong fits that criterion. Now, if you look at, again, just to comment on something regarding Ayabacho, when we were putting together this complaint, he's not listed, but we had an inside debate among
of course, we debated
on if we should list Cho Ayaba. And let me tell you why we did not list him. The reason why we did not list him was because we balanced the purpose of the complaint against the inflammatory nature of what it would have looked like if the interim government, if the government of Ambazonia had included him. Some people would have been thinking they would have focused only on him and not on this complaint. But we knew, just like Barrister Mbeseha said, that a rising tide will eventually carry all boats. When the ICC opens its complaint and they come on the ground, all the acts which Ayabacho has been doing within the purview of the ICC of the ADF will come within the circuit of this investigation.
Yep.
as it is happening. So we implicitly included him without necessarily mentioning his name in the complaint. And again, Paddy, let me just point to you. When we say this struggle is a God-ordained struggle, make no mistake, God has placed certain people in key positions to help liberate Ambazonia. We might not be seeing the whole panoply of it, but it's happening. I'll even point to you, Paddy. There are a lot of things I have reflected about your own circumstance, where you are, the resources that are available to you, time, technical skills, and otherwise, and why God has put you in that unique position to be able to do what you're doing for this struggle. I'm not going to get into details because there are things that I know you and I know we don't want exposing. But your own positioning, I have always seen it as that God-ordained plan to liberate Ambazonia. So the cumulative effect of everything that is happening, this ICC complaint, our legal right towards being a sovereign people, historical factors. You look at the case of Namibia. Namibia has this, or then it was called the Southwest Africa. Southwest Africa has the same legal justification towards being a sovereign and an independent nation as Ambazonia. In fact, Southwest Africa came out of the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, and it was annexed to South Africa, but it was never part of South Africa, just like Ambazonia. And the apartheid regime in South Africa decided to claim Namibia as part of its territory, just like the government of French Cameroon, with the help of France, is pretending or trying to claim Ambazonia as part of its. And Sam Nujoma stood up under SWAPO, the Southwest Africa People's Organization, to fight against South Africa, and eventually Namibia had its independence. So if you're looking at what is happening to Ambazonia, it's not new. But the conclusion is going to be same, just like it was for Namibia, just like it was for Eritrea, just like it was for Southern Sudan. Ambazonia is going to regain its sovereignty, and Ambazonia is going to regain its place amongst the nations of the world as an independent nation. And all of us here, including a lot of you who are listening, are tools towards this process that are going to deliver the birth pains of this nation.
There's something you just said there, as we take the contribution of this caller that's been waiting. There's something you said there which I want to use that. What you said there, Mr. Gana, the debate, that the foresight, when you talk about the debate, whether or not to include expressly the name of Dr. Cho Ayaba, I am thinking about the foresight you guys had because you were compiling this in 2019. The foresight you saw ahead of time. And then I also like the fact that the borders within which you constructed the filing by default includes people like him, like the Moja and many others. And that's quite interesting. I'm also happy that you indicted me in the conversation. What a lot of Ambazonians don't know, which I know.
No, it did not indict you. It was time to praise you.
Praise, I know. Like, okay. Highlighting me. I'm excited that you highlighted me in the conversation. What a lot of Ambazonians don't know, which I think high government officials like Mr. Mbeseha knew it since 2019, was the fact that I won a government in court because of this case. Not asylum. Asylum was granted way ahead of time by the UNHCR in Washington. And I was also called to testify on things like this that has to do with the human rights abuse in very high offices. And one of these days, the information will be given public. I've had a chance to be interviewed by the Washington Post, or is it New York Post? How do they call that? I think the New York Post.
The New York Post, yeah.
Yeah, the New York Post, because of the case I won in court. Not an asylum case. The case I won was not, it was about abuse and the fact that a particular institution was not respecting the plight of the people of the Southern Cameroons. And so advised, at that time, even Barrister Mbeseha advised me to calm down. You know, Barrister Mbeseha is not that kind of a person that wants you to take pace. He kept on telling me, just be patient, just be patient. Family members and people told me you can't fight the government in court. But when I got the cue from a human rights lawyer that this was a credible one, we fight the case against the government and we won it. So Ambazonia keeps winning cases everywhere and we will just continue to win them. And this is also going to be the win because, because
take the caller.
Justice is on our side. So there's a question from you now, Mayor Kari, that you want to ask the panel. That will be the final, or the cutting razor of tonight's conversation. Mayor Kari, please talk to us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tarh Paddy. Thank you for hosting, and I thank you to you are well educated and well informed and very, very articulate team of lawyers. That is the cream of the crop. It is a privilege to be in the struggle with all of you. It is a great time to be alive, and it's a great time to fight for a cause that is worthy of the name. So I am very, very, feel very privileged to be in it with all of you. That said, I just have a question. The question is not only for the panel, it is also for you, Dr. Tarh Paddy as the host. This is the premise to my question. A lot of the individuals that are victims of this war, a lot of the individuals that have credible information about this war, a lot of the individuals that have are witnesses to, and who can contribute to the success of the effort at the ICC, they do not have a mastery of the Queen's language. So my question to you and to the panel is it possible that we repeat this question or this program and speak in a local language, Pidgin, so that we can have a greater audience? Because the information that we are soliciting from the victim, for example, it is very, very, very important. And there is no way you can do that effectively unless we speak in a language that is understood by a vast majority of our people. So my question is it possible to summarize in Pidgin? Or if that is not possible, do another program where you speak in Pidgin. And I want to close by thanking all of you for invoking the contributions from our ASA, because without them, we will not be where we are and will not get to destination. Thank you very much. And in that spirit, I'm just asking anybody who has not or has done it and is willing to do it again, please put your hands in your pocket, because without money, we cannot be here where we are today. Whether it's for the case filing or it's for the fighting on the front firepower. Thank you very much. That is my question.
Yeah, I'll allow the lawyers to interchangeably speak, not more than a minute on that. I'll give my perspective based on the feasibility study and the groundwork. I'll give a perspective on that, but I'll allow the lawyers to speak.
Yeah, Paddy, I would suggest that we do a special program in Pidgin on this issue, so that our people on the ground should understand. Because those investigators, do you believe it or not, those investigators may question people in Pidgin. So they too may know something. Let's do one of these programs, maybe next week or any other week, in Pidgin, the three of us and you, and we do it in Pidgin, so that our people who don't master the Queen's language can follow. That's my suggestion.
Okay, that's a great suggestion, Barrister Fru. The question was all about. I'm going to talk last.
I just finished talking.
Sorry, Barrister Mbeseha.
Well, I think Mayor Carey did not ask the question. He made a suggestion, which is so good. You know, what we're doing here, all this grammar we're blowing here, it's not going to people in Kwakwa, it's not going to people in Kemba, it's not going to Maapis, children who are farming in the villages somewhere. So it's a very good suggestion. If we can make this effective by talking country talk, Pidgin, then everybody will understand. Because when they come to take evidence from them, call them witnesses, they will speak all in the language that they know. And so it's important for them to know what we are saying directly from us, not somebody telling them what I heard on TV now. So it's a very good suggestion. I hope you can find time, put up a program for that. Over to you.
Comrade Paddy?
Yeah, Barrister Gana, go ahead.
Yes. I will. Oh, ma talking for Pidgin. For umami the way they listen.
No, don't mix. There will be a program in Pidgin. Just go ahead in English.
Some person they will it here for some corner way but understand too or don't talk well. So I go spice up some more with Pidgin. For papa them, we mommy them, we brother them, we sister them, we grandpapa them, we chief them, we sub-chief them, we bar them, when I don't listen for the message. 4 years ago, when I no say some 3 Ambazonian lawyer the day, where they put together this big case, where go end up with that big organization where they call them say ICC. ICC now a legal branch for United Nations. ICC come under United Nations. And we don't go petition this palaver. We don't go put the palaver for court for ICC. Where even government for Cameroon and government for Nigeria, they will get to go down to their knees, listen for two ICC talk. We will need more evidence from Una there for Cameroon. We'll need more evidence from una mami them, where they don't can kill una picking them. From people they will even put it there for army, where una watch how they kill people them. Whether from Bengui, whether from Kambe, whether for Kwakwa, whether for Njian, whether for Lobe. Number the day where una fit call them now. I go give una number now because una fit listen, so maybe you know get chance for listen to this program again. And I don't provide number before, like 3 years ago. Some people they communicate with that number, and they you would use part of that evidence. Them that number now 617-270-0497. I go talk that number again. 617-270-0497. If you get where you feel communicate evidence or something where you know about this killing, where they kill people them, where army they come, call this number. If you get picture them, if you get in the way you tape them, if you take some army of officially name where you don't write them for some place, if they be kill your Pekin, call this number. Move, continue for gather this evidence. And I'm going to switch back to English because all of this information is going to speak to the issue of relevance and evidence that can substantiate our filing at the International Criminal Court. And as you saw in that letter that was sent by the ICC, which President Sako read, we are already part of this process. That letter wasn't sent to Mimi Mefo. That letter wasn't sent to some journalists in Kenya. That letter wasn't sent to some in Alaska. That letter was sent back to the source. You saw the name of Barrister John Fru John Nsoh under that letter, and you saw an email under that letter that belongs to Barrister Mbeseha here. So that letter was a response from the ICC to those who filed the complaint. So we are already part of that process. Channel that evidence to us, and we'll have other sources or other means where you can channel that information in subsequent programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Paddy,
and I'm very
Paddy.
Yeah.
1 second. You come from Kendem. There is a woman in Kendem that I've been looking for. The woman that they picked up the baby and put in the boiling oil.
That woman was actually that woman. Let me just give you. I'm not cutting you short. The woman actually was a woman from Krugwe village that was marching Banga. It's not a Kendem woman, but it was done in Kendem.
Okay.
Yes, the baby
but can we trace her? Can we trace her?
I don't know about that. There are some people precisely that you.
There are 2 of such women. In fact, there are 3 of such women. There's one in Miyuka, baby Mata's mother. He put that baby on the couch. She was in the kitchen cooking, and La Republic of Cameroon shot that baby with more than 10 bullets on the couch.
Yeah.
There's another one. That one died. So I cannot even talk about that one because
there are many cases, Barrister. Yeah. So I want us to conclude this program. Like the man in Batibo whose baby was burnt in the house. So the cases are many.
That one.
As many as can be allocated.
We're looking at possible witnesses.
As many as can be allocated will be of a good thing. So I want to address this issue on what Mayor Kari said about PG. I happen to be positioned to work on the technical analysis of what we are saying. Maybe I want to give this information to Ambazonia now. When you look about the media and the communication, the medium of communication in the Cameroons put together for the past 30 years, you realize that there are some desires we have, which if we implement them, like what Dr. Mayor Kari is saying now, it will help us attain 100% of communicating to 2 sets of people. Because the objective of this program is to communicate to the people at the home front and to communicate to the international community. It will help us attain 100%. As far as the international community is concerned, we are communicating 100% to the international community. In fact, what some people don't even know is we are attaining 100% with the language we are using. Now, when it comes to the home front, anybody who is thinking that up to 10% of Ambazonians don't understand the Queen's language, you have not done a feasibility study. You are working based on assumption.
That's also correct. That's correct.
My grandmother, Avu Awara, could not speak English, but when the Munas were talking, she would understand everything they said. That is the English we are speaking. So the choice based on the logistic we have right now, from a technical standpoint, we ask ourselves, should we focus on pidgin, that we are going to reach all Ambazonians by 100%, or should we just do it in English that will reach them by 95% and the international community by 100%? I'm talking about logistics, and that's why there's ABC Networks. ABC Networks, when Peter Isoka was talking, he never spoke in pidgin. Every Southern Cameroonian, minimum of 90%, even the mothers in the village, understood Peter Isoka when he translated Biya's speeches and every analysis he made. Cameroon calling was never done in pidgin. All Southern Cameroonians understood it, even the grandmothers in the village. But to satisfy us, the nostalgia of our homeland and where we are coming from, pidgin programs, vernacular is important, and that's the purpose of ABC Networks. We are getting to that phase where there will be separation. There will be a pidgin section for those who just want to enjoy listening to it in pidgin. Pidgin news started in Cameroon when? The first pidgin news in Cameroon started when we were about finishing university in 2006. There was no pidgin. Cameroon had television for more than 30 years. There was no pidgin news existing in Cameroon. Even Bamenda radio station was constantly done in grammar. So this is some research that we should do and not worry. And this worry should be addressed from the counties. County authorities, do the efforts of taking government policies that you have and sending audios to your people in the dialects and in pidgin too, so that it can make the work easy. Right now, ABC doesn't have that logistic to do this kind of a program immediately with pidgin. Now explain why. The Ambazonians that we've had for pidgin, the last one resigned 2 weeks ago. That he wants to go and pursue his personal career. I'm saying this to the public for the first time.
Yeah. Some of us don't even speak pidgin well.
So you notice before now and 2 weeks, when we have a show like this, there's always an Ambazonian Kimbi that takes every show and translates it. And Hope From was watching it. He resigned. So the president said something last year and into this year that we should know. Let me tell you, it is a lie. It is not a fact to think that what we say here, it is a misinformation. Ambazonians don't understand it. It's not true. They understand, by a minimum of 90% of every Ambazonian understands everything we're saying here. And because we're talking to two people, we have to do a scale of preference and make sure that the larger number listens to it. But there's a good thing for the pidgin program. We're excited. We're happy that we're talking about pidgin. And that is important, and that is in consideration, and that is a part of the project, that our people feel it and they understand it. Explaining legal things in pidgin sometimes could also be complicated. Certain times you might explain some things, whereas those who listen to it in English actually understood it even better than the pidgin that you thought that you were going to explain to them. That notwithstanding, I want to say thank you for everyone who tuned into this program. We are working on that. The pidgin section, where everything, news, analysis, when we are done with a show like this, it will be done in Portuguese, in Espanol, in French. Michel Biem Tong is one of those that's going to be doing that for us too. And in pidgin, that is already in motion. And we need you today and your support more than ever before to actualize this. One way of doing it is your donation. Another way is by you also explaining the grammar you have understood to your how far your audio can go in your LGA. It's sometimes more than what we are doing here.
Okay.
Thank you very much for to be a part of this program. We will see you tomorrow. Is an important show with the women's department. The women's department is organizing a program, and we will be a part of that program tomorrow to continue subscription. The platform for ABC and everything is being updated, so we hope that they can allocate for us a few minutes for us to do subscription. We're supposed to do that today, but a lot of things did not permit us to do it. But I'm always available for a call. Those who want to do subscription, they can always call, and I'll help them for that. And we're upgrading the platform. You can download the mobile app, the Android mobile app. Hopefully before Christmas or immediately after Christmas, we'll have the iOS app, or the one for those who have Apple phones, and you'll definitely enjoy it. Thank you for tuning in. Good night and bye-bye.
Wishing all the people of southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, a Christmas filled with hope, peace, and the warmth of unity in the face of conflict. May the spirit of Christmas bring comfort to the prisoners of conscience, strength to the refugees, and courage to the Ambazonian restoration forces. Let the light of the season inspire us to stand together in solidarity and work towards a future of peace and freedom. From ABC Amba TV, on behalf of the government of Ambazonia, may the message of love and resilience shine brightly in the hearts of all. Christmas of hope, unity in adversity.